And we're sideways, and it's going to be at an angle. Okay, so hey, what's up, everybody? We're at an angle. So I wanted to get connected so people wouldn't be wondering if we're not showing. But is there a way to make it, like, can you program it to be, do you twist it or something? We bought this really fancy stabilizing tripod, and it stabilizes the camera. Like, no matter what you do, it's really cool. It stabilizes it at a 10-degree angle. We haven't quite figured it out yet, or I haven't. So I'm going to ask Jane to help because I'm technologically 53.
How's that?
That's perfect. How'd you do that?
There's a button.
There's a button? You didn't tell me there was a button. If I knew there was a button on it, I would have pressed the button.
Yeah. You gotta need me.
That's why I let you do things. Because if I need you, I make you feel just needed enough to, like, keep you around. Hello, 36 people. Hello, Ben and Sarah Chocolate. Hello, Chuck. Hello, Martin. Wait, sexy hash brown?
That is not possible.
Sexy hash brown?
Mm-mm.
It could be.
Far too greasy.
Far too greasy? Greasy can be sexy.
No.
Yes.
No, greasy is only douchey.
You ever heard of Crisco Twister? All you need is 4 friends and like a 1-gallon drum of Crisco. And a
I'm gonna pretend like you never said that.
Twister board. Hello, everybody. Hello, Kevin.
The texture feeling that just gave me, like, this.
Is it worse?
And now I'm sick to my stomach.
Yeah. Crisco's bad.
Don't ever bring that up again, please.
All right. Hey, I'm gonna. I'm never gonna say anything gross again on this live stream ever, except for one thing.
Don't make unrealistic promises.
I'm gonna say. All right. So check this out. Because I've been in Southeast Asia now for 3 weeks, and I said I would never say anything gross again, and I won't. But if there was a Ministry of Tourism for all of Southeast Asia, and they wanted to increase tourism from America, here's what their slogan would be. In America, you can't even trust your government. In Southeast Asia, the only thing you can't trust are your farts. Huh? Picture that on a subway billboard.
That's a winning slogan.
That is how you make money, Southeast Asia. That one's free, but if you want another one, you're gonna have to hire me. Did they ever find the light switch in the conference room? Okay, so check this out. Okay, first off, no, they did not. I'm going to explain something to y'all. If you didn't see the video, and like this so perfectly illustrated like what I'm saying. So we like stay at a wide variety of places, right? But whenever I do my my live class, my 6-month online Become a Complete Disc Golfer class. It's really important that I have good Wi-Fi. I got a conference room. I got all these things with space because people are paying. It can't be choppy. And so we get expensive hotels at least once a week for my live class. And I've noticed that there's a point of diminishing return where like the more you spend, the better the room. But at a certain point, you don't get more value for the money. They just add stupid stuff to try to make it seem fancy. Like the fridge isn't white, it's silver. Breakfast isn't free. You now have to pay for it. Like, well, why do you have to pay for breakfast if you're paying more for the room? Well, because that is more elitist, right? You have to pay for they're really expensive hotels charge you for Wi-Fi. Like if you pay more for a hotel room, they now charge you. It's the stupidest thing ever. But the dumbest thing they do at these expensive hotels is they make things complicated just so they don't look like how poor people live. Like they don't have regular light switches. You know, those ones that every single one of us has used our entire lives, and it's really easy. You walk over, there's a switch by the lamp. You hit it, the lamp turns on, right? Well, there won't be a switch by the lamp. the switch to the lamp will be by the door, but it won't say lamp on it, which I guess we're in a different country, but it won't even have a picture of a lamp on it. It'll have a symbol on it, not like a tie or a different, like, no, just like a graphically designed symbol that you can't tell what it is. But there's like 8 of these buttons by the door. They all turn on different. It's the stupidest thing ever. They're making it complicated so they look fancy. So I go to do my live stream yesterday morning. I'm at the conference room, this beautiful, big, gigantic conference room at this hotel. And I can't figure out how to turn the lights on in the conference room. Like, this is like there's a table with like 30 chairs around it. I can't turn on the lights in the conference room. I go to the front desk. Nobody at the front desk can turn on the lights in the conference room. They call maintenance. Maintenance come down. Maintenance. The maintenance at the hotel cannot figure out how to turn on the lights of the conference room. And I'm not blaming maintenance or the staff. I'm blaming the people that decided, ooh, we're a fancy hotel, so we need to make turning on lights in the conference room difficult. Because a light switch is what poor people do. They have those in trailers. That's what it is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry, you'll never get that 90 seconds back. I realized halfway through that was the most boring story I've ever told. And that
was the theme of the morning.
That was the theme of our morning, right?
Yeah.
That was the theme of our morning. So I promise the next 9 stories are going to be gold to make up for that terrible 90-second not funny story.
Tell people to ask questions.
Yeah, if you have questions, shoot them over. I don't have an original thought in my head. If you shoot over questions, we're in our 4th country in Asia right now over the last month. If you have questions about what it's like over here, especially if you're thinking of traveling, I can give you some really good information. Like the fact that, not Singapore, but so far our time in Indonesia and Malaysia and a little bit of time in Thailand, you can go out and you can get a really nice dinner. And I mean nice dinner for about $1. And then if you want to get a drink, you're probably going to spend another $1. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean,
not alcoholic.
Not alcoholic drink. We don't drink. So
we don't have any experience on those.
By the way, we're in Indonesia and Malaysia, and almost nobody drinks either. Like, you go out, we love this because we're not big drinkers. Like maybe like if we get a bed and breakfast at a vineyard in France, I'm sure we'll have a glass of wine there, right? I mean, because we're there, right? But we're not partiers. And like the Chinese New Year celebration, it's this huge street party. It looks like Times Square in New York, except nobody's drinking, except the occasional like white people you see. They all got to have a beer in their hand. But like nobody's drinking and everybody's dancing in the streets and having a blast. So there's not in those countries, there's not a lot of drinking going on, and everybody's still having fun. It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of, I kind of like it as a non-drinker. Oh, even people that drink will acknowledge the fact that when you're not drinking, people who are drinking are generally annoying. Like when you're drinking, they're not annoying because you're drinking too. But sexy hash brown. Have I eaten any rice? Yes, I've eaten rice. That's that's the staple food out here.
They're talking about coconut.
Yeah, but it's with the coconut rice.
Nasi lemak.
Nasi lemak.
Lemak.
Mm-hmm. What about it? They do it with
They cook it in the coconut.
They cook it in the coconut itself.
Milk.
Oh, they cook it in the coconut milk. Yeah, it's a little bit different, but it's a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've had to. Like, there's a lot of. So here's how we order food. So we avoid the tourist areas as much as possible. Like even when we're in a town like where's the tourist area, we go out to eat at these like hawker stands. Like it's just like you've seen on like if you've ever seen like in the movies where you walk down the street and there's all these stands. They're selling fresh fruit. They're selling whole chickens. They're selling. Everybody's cooking their food, but they're all these little carts. They're not like food trucks. They're little tiny carts, but there's like places where there's hundreds of them, and it's all delicious. But when you get off the main path, none of the signs are in English. There's not English characters to translate. It's all just in the whatever the script is in the country. And but this is what's great. They all have pictures next to the food. So you just look at something that looks like an appealing plate of food and you just point at it. And then you say, you want 2 of them or you want 1. Everybody's helpful. But so people are asking about the weirdest thing I ate. I don't know what I've been eating. I mean, sometimes I can tell it's chicken. Sometimes I can tell it's fish. But I don't know.
Most of the time you can tell.
Sometimes you can tell.
When it's not chicken. It's the chicken that's the most.
You can tell when it's not chicken?
Yeah, like you can tell there's a bit of a fishy flavor.
Yeah, it has like a fishy flavor.
You can tell when it's beef because it's brown.
Oh, so check this out. This is something I gotta tell you, this is really funny. There's John Reed had a great question. All right, so here's something I heard. And I think it's on Real Life Lore or Half as Interesting or one of these great channels on YouTube. There's a whole thing about Thailand and the Thai restaurants in the US. And I might get the details wrong, but basically, as part of the tourism for the country of Thailand, one of the things they did is they have the government of Thailand, and please, if I get one of these details wrong, it doesn't mean the story's not accurate. I'm just missing something. But the government of Thailand funded like thousands of Thai restaurants to be opened all over the US. I don't know if it's Europe too, but definitely the US. That's why, if you remember, there weren't Thai restaurants not that long ago. That was very rare. There were Chinese food and sushi restaurants, not Thai. Thai government, in order to promote Thai tourism, wanted to promote the image of Thailand, so they funded Thai restaurants all over the US. The thing about it is they all have basically standardized menus. So if you've traveled and gone to Thai restaurants in a different city, you realize they all have green curry, yellow curry, red curry, for instance. They all have the same things at these restaurants. But here's what's amazing. We had heard that they changed the food, that it's not the way you eat in Thailand. They spent a lot of money, put a lot of research into this to create Thai food that Americans would like. It's not quite as spicy, and it has a different flavor that maybe we're more accustomed to in the US. We had heard that. Well, now we're in Thailand eating Thai food, and you go to the restaurant, and there's nothing on the menu at the Thai restaurant that you can find at the Thai restaurant back home. It's not that it's more spicy. It doesn't exist. Like the ones we've been to. I suppose in the tourist areas, they probably have like US Thai restaurants. But the actual Thai food here is, it's totally different. It's definitely spicier, but it's different. I don't recognize any of it. The different vegetables, even different flavor, huh?
Yeah. And that has not been the case in the other countries.
No, the other countries, well, but it's hard to find like Malaysian or Indonesian restaurants.
No, it's not. There are definitely Malaysian restaurants, and it's the same type of food. And you can buy the ingredients at Asian markets.
Okay, sure. Okay. So I guess, yeah, so it's more, but the Thai has been distinctly different.
Completely different.
By the way, even Chinese food is totally different in the US. If you go to a Chinese restaurant, this is my US tip for you. Go to a Chinese restaurant and they give you the menu. You could ask them, can I see the real menu? And they will bring you a menu of Chinese food that's not the menu that everyone else at the restaurant is eating. They'll bring you a menu that actually has like Chinese food on it, and you can actually order real Chinese food at the Chinese restaurant. I didn't know that existed. Did you?
I did.
You did, okay.
But I got Asian.
Yes.
A lot of Asian.
Latest favorite mid-range. I love the Piwaka Waka. I love the harp. I love the buzz. I have those tour series buzzes up on and harps on ScottStokely.net. Well, tour series harps. My buzzes are the Stokely Universe full color buzzes. So I love those, absolutely. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it's right now it's harp and Piwaka Waka are my two main go-to mid ranges. But some of that's going to be changing soon.
Did you get?
But I can't say what. What?
Did you get anything to plug this week? Is there any...
No, we didn't get anything up. We'll get something up. We'll do more plugging of stuff next week.
New Universe shirt?
No, I don't think nothing new. I'll tell everybody to go go buy stuff at ScottStokely.net. That's an order, soldier. How has the surf looked down in Indonesia? Okay, so we only went to Batam, Indonesia. So here's the interesting thing about Indonesia. And by the way, when I'm speaking of Indonesia, like I know Indonesia. What is there, like 15,000 islands in Indonesia? Google. You're my research person. Google how many islands there are in Indonesia. It's not like 80. It's like 15,000 or something. So for us to say like we've been to Indonesia is almost like, I feel like if you like, you know, visited a country like on a cruise ship and you're like, I've been to this country. It's like, well, no, you kind of pulled into a cruise ship. So we were in Batam, Indonesia for like a week, one city, one island. It was interesting because it was the first time we saw that I've ever seen a level of real poverty.
18,100.
Okay, 18,000 islands. Yeah, I wasn't exaggerating. In Indonesia, 6,000 islands in Indonesia are inhabited, and it was, but actual like real poverty, not like U.S. poverty, like poverty where you have like food, cell phones, like an apartment, you a car, but like actual abject poverty, dirt streets, scraping by. There's virtually zero crime, zero violent crime on the island. There could be petty theft or something, but we didn't. Even that is actually like shockingly low. The people were amazingly kind and generous and nice and friendly, and they smiled and they were. It was amazing. One interesting thing I noticed is that there was virtually no homelessness. Everybody worked. Your job is, you know, you're scraping by. I mean, you're selling, you know, fruit on the street at red lights, or you're, you know, it could be any number of things. But everyone is basically working. We felt completely safe there, even though, like, what we did is we actually we stayed at the hotel. We stayed an hour from Batam, the city, because we didn't want to be where the tourists were. We wanted to be out with people in Indonesia. So we stayed about an hour. And when we would go out to eat, we didn't eat at our hotel. We would we'd catch a ride, and we'd have them drop us off like somewhere out in the country. And we would just basically, we would see a bunch of like food stands in like a neighborhood, and we would be like, let us out here. We would just hop out and wander around. Never felt. Did you ever feel unsafe for even a second?
No.
No. I mean, you feel just incredibly safe. Like there's just no violent crime there. Like even if there's the risk of like a pickpocket or something like that, no one's gonna stab you. Like no one's gonna pull a gun on you. So we felt just incredibly safe, and then we would just wander with the locals, and they would like. It was amazing. The beaches were there. Like I would have like, and I'm only talking about where we were. I probably wouldn't go in the water there. I would probably not be so comfortable.
Well, that particular island is industrial.
Well, it's an industrial island.
So it's like the beaches would be like, well, you don't think of really nice beaches in Texas.
Yeah, it's not a beach community. Yeah, it's not known for its beaches. I don't think.
Not that particular island.
That island, I'm sure.
Have a few beach resorts, but it's still like the water.
Yeah, the beach resorts aren't. We went down to one beach, and it was funny. We sat in a chair for how long were we sitting in the lawn chairs? Like you're supposed to be like you're on like a vacation. People go like sit out on the beach, right? On their like, how long were we in the chairs for? Like
5 minutes. We
were there for like 5 minutes, and we're like, "Are you bored?" And we're like, "Yes, this is so boring. Let's take a cab somewhere and go into town." We're not sitting in the lounge chair people. Nothing. I mean, I'm not knocking anybody's what they like. I'm just like I felt like I was wasting my time. I wanted to go into town. The food was unbelievable. $1. You eat really well for $1. What country has the most disc golf courses? Well, Malaysia. Well, so Australia has the most, followed by New Zealand, I think, although it might be the other way around. I think they're probably pretty close. They're in the same category. So far in Asia, there's a couple courses in Thailand. There's one in Singapore. We were I'm trying to help get one in Batam, Indonesia. We met with a person out there who agreed to put a course in on their ball golf course. There's another group. If you go to Indonesia Disc Golf or Disc Golf Indonesia, the next island next to Bali, they're trying to put a course in, or not. No, sorry, they've already agreed at a sports complex. They will be putting a course in there, so that actually has started. And then we take the ferry over to Johor, Malaysia, and don't worry if you've never heard of Johor, Malaysia. Like, we planned our trip, and I'd never heard of Johor, Malaysia. And we get off the ferry, and there's 9 disc golf courses in Johor. Eric Grover
Yeah, you
put in. I got a video of Eric. He got. There's 9 courses in Johor. I would say, I believe, of all the places on planet Earth that you've never heard of that have disc golf, that you're shocked that they have a course. Like, I don't think there's any that have 9. Here's the cool thing too. Check this out. A lot of the places, and this is to be expected, there's nothing wrong with this, but a lot of places you have expats, people from other countries that are there. They're either retiring or they're working, but they're in foreign countries, a lot of times Southeast Asia, and they play disc golf back home, US, Western Europe, Australia, wherever. So they will get a course in, and then the other expats who have heard of disc golf play. So a lot of these countries, it kind of starts with all the Westerners that are playing disc golf. And I think in time, locals will start playing, right? Well, in Johor, that has passed. And now there are tons of locals playing disc golf in Johor. And Malaysia is predominantly a Muslim country. So the women that play wear their hijabs, right? Yeah. They're like it's a Muslim country. There's certain dress codes that are part of the culture here, and they are out at playing on the course. And that, by the way, if you lived here, that wouldn't seem foreign to you. But being from the U.S. in a certain environment, that was like, wow, that's really interesting to me. And then after a little while, you're like, that's no longer interesting. That's just, of course, they play disc golf. Everyone loves disc golf. Like, why wouldn't they? So in Johor, tons of locals play, and it's growing in the local community. In Kuala Lumpur, I think every person we played in Kuala Lumpur, there's like 3 courses there. I think every person we played with is from Kuala Lumpur, except for one player from Cameroon, Africa, who went to school in Malaysia. But the courses were installed by somebody from Wisconsin. So. Do you think a championship could be built on flat land? I think a championship course could be built on flat land, but it would be better if it had some elevation, right? I mean, like, there's all these things that are just variable. The more variety there is on a course, the better, I think. Like, you want variety. So if everything's perfectly flat, you've removed one of the elements you can use to add challenges to the course. And that doesn't mean you can't have a great course on flat land. Of course you can, but elevation, it just adds another thing, another challenge to overcome, or another problem to solve. Like, that's what golf is. Like, it is a series of individual problem-solving challenges. Every single shot is, how do I solve this problem, especially driving and approaching. So the more problems you have to solve, the more interesting the problem is, more fun it is. That's just a generalization, though. What do you think about Macbeth doing the Euro Tour? He's copying me. Yeah, I know. What do you expect? I think it's great that he's doing the Euro Tour. I think it's a great promotional thing. So when I'm doing the Euro Tour, I'm trying to, like, be really clear about something, that I am not over here the same way somebody is when, like, they turn 38 years old and they can no longer compete in the NBA, so they play NBA Europe, or they're 33 and they can't compete in the NFL, so they go to the Canadian League, maybe because they don't want to quit playing, or maybe because they spent all their money in their 20s or whatever. That's not why I'm competing in Europe. I'm not going here to compete on the Euro Tour like it's a second-tier tour. I don't care about prize money. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm here because I want a different experience. and the fact that there is this amazing, thriving tour. It's actually 2 tours over here that are thriving, is not a second tier. I mean, yes, the majority of top players are playing the DGPT. That is still the premier tour at the highest level of the game. But that doesn't mean it's any more of a real tour than the Euro Tour. The Euro Tour is still a tour. So I want to promote the idea that this is another way to compete. By the way, let's suppose you want to go on the DGPT. Let's suppose you're 1,003 rated and you're 19 years old. Okay, yeah, DGPT is awesome. You also might struggle a bit. It's going to be hard. You gotta shoot 1025 for a tournament to cash at some of these tournaments, and cash is last place cash, which is your entry fee. So you need to shoot like 20 points above your rating over 3 rounds just to break even at that weekend. Or you could come over here to Europe, 1,003 rated player, be one of the better players in the field. You shoot 1,025, you're in the top 4 maybe. Top 4, maybe you're going to win a fair amount of money more than you would have in the U.S. So it certainly could also be a great stepping stone to progress to the DGPT. I love the idea of that as well. And I suppose we also can promote it when you're not ready to give up the game and you get old. You can go back. You can definitely compete on the Euro Tour also, but that's not why I'm doing it. Would you consider a skills video for older players? My backhand is losing distance because of arthritis in the knees, and I would love some tips on how to fix it. It's really funny you should mention that. So first off, okay, skills-wise, mechanics don't change. I don't teach different mechanics for older players, younger players, men, women, pros, amateurs, overweight people, skinny people. Like the fundamental mechanics of how to throw aren't going to change. How your body adapts to those mechanics is going to be a little bit different, but that's just to be expected. You have 2 people that are operating 2 different machines, an older broken down body and a young athletic body. You're operating 2 different machines. So when you apply those fundamental mechanics to your throw, it isn't going to look the same. But it doesn't mean, at least the way I teach it, that you do things differently because you're older. You try to do the exact same things, just you get different results. So I don't teach any different mechanics. As far as the physical part of the game related specifically to disc golf, I think Disc Golf Strong has the market cornered on that. Seth Muncie, I have as much respect for him as anybody in the sport at what they do. He's the best at that. So Disc Golf Strong is the place to go to physically be building your mobility, your flexibility, your strength, your balance, all the things directly related to disc golf. He's not a doctor, but he's highly trained, degrees, certifications in things for disc golf. So Disc Golf Strong, my full endorsement. And can I go ahead and announce the thing? Because we're about to announce it like in 2 days. I'll go ahead and announce. Hey, you guys get the world premiere announcement on something. It's going to be announced in like 2 days. I am about to start my training camp for the Euro Tour. The training camp I'm referring to is not the practicing training camp or the Disc Golf Strong, which I do Disc Golf Strong. But there's 3 phases to me getting ready for the Euro Tour. One is practicing throws. I got a putt, approach, drive. One is doing all these specific strengthening and mobility and balance exercises for disc golf, which I do through Disc Golf Strong. That's the second part. But there's a third part that I am inviting everybody to join with me. And I'm going to be doing a 3-month basic class to join along. And that's just a general health and wellness lifestyle class. This is about developing a healthy body, a healthy diet, developing habits that are sustainable to live a healthy life. None of that's related directly to disc golf. So this third part of what I'm doing if someone doesn't disc golf, it's every bit as useful to them as someone who does disc golf. It's specifically about how to eat right and how to be healthier. This has been a big part of what I've had to do to be able to travel and live the life. I'm going at a really fast pace, and I'm training really hard, but I needed to have a body that could handle it. And what I'm doing is I have partnered with Disc Golf Strong. We are doing a 3-month training camp, basically, that starts with, here's how we live our life now. Here's how we're eating now. Here's how we're exercising now. Here's how we're approaching our life. And then in 3 months, the goal is for it to end with, I'm living a different lifestyle than I am today. It's not a diet. It's not an exercise regimen. It's not a boot camp where you're exercising really hard, losing 12 pounds, and then in 3 months, you get burnt out and stop doing it. It's about changing a lifestyle to live healthier. And one nice thing is, I literally just found the picture. I used to be, would you say I was fat?
Yes.
I was fat. Well, I wasn't. I mean, for me, I'm 6'7". I wasn't. I carry it probably a little differently because I'm tall and lean.
You filled out your.
I was so much bigger than I am right now, and so I got proof that I haven't always been like this healthy person. I'm human, just like every one of you. And we're going to be offering this class where you can join me because I made these lifestyle changes that were sustainable. They weren't that hard, and I want everybody to join me in those. So, kind of unrelated to what you're saying, except everything that relates to your health is going to make you healthier. And I'll be announcing that in just a couple days. And it's a 3-month thing that I want everybody to join me on. Yeah, she didn't hesitate answering. Yeah, well, it's like, the thing is, okay, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna say something that might bother people because in 2023, people get offended at things. Because there's this weird thing that says you're not supposed to say there's something wrong with being overweight. And the reason they're saying that is because people feel like if you say there's something wrong with being overweight, that you're attacking a person's character. Like you're not as good of a person, or you're not as important, or you can't be beautiful. And obviously those things are not true. But you also cannot argue with the fact that when you are overweight, you don't feel as good, you don't have as much energy, you don't have as high a sex drive, you don't live as long, you're more vulnerable to joint pain, injuries, things are harder. There's no question that when you're overweight, life is more difficult and causes more problems for you than when you're not. Like it shouldn't be this controversial thing to say, hey, let's not live like this, or let me help you not live like this because you'll be happier, without feeling like that's going to offend people. And I decided that when I start talking about this, that I would offend people in 2023 by saying this. And I decided that I would rather offend some people if I'm going to help save other people's lives and make people's lives better. So if I can make your life better, I don't care if I offend a few people by saying it. Being healthier is, I can speak from experience. I'm happier, healthier than I was when I was unhealthy. Did I phrase that okay?
I think so.
I still offended some people. I'm sorry if I offended you. That's just the reality. So I want to help, because I'll say one more thing about this, and because the announcement's coming. I'm so human. If you read my book, I am so vulnerable to all the failings and struggles of every other human out there. I'm not this triathlete who's been a triathlete their entire life or something like that. So I've had to learn how to be healthy with a brain that is flawed, that causes me to feel anxiety sometimes, and depression sometimes, and motivation problems sometimes. I'm human. And I figured out a way to be healthy with a brain that is not always my friend. So I feel like I can help other people do the same thing, because our brains aren't our friends. Okay, there we go. I'll drop it. Well, in a couple of days, you'll get an announcement. Did I lose anybody with that? Okay, Scott, you heard about my recent disdain for corn in the dessert. What do you like more, dessert corn or pickles? Have you tried pickled dessert corn? We need to ban pickle media.
He's trying to get kicked off the channel, I think.
Okay, let me explain something. Let me explain something about Malaysia, everybody. Okay, Malaysia is and then I'm just going to say fill in the blank. 45 minutes of me talking about how great Malaysia is. The people, the culture, the food, the crime rate, the beauty, the everything. Malaysia knocks it out of the park. They crush it. We're having so much fun here. Except their most famous dessert is like it's this snow. It's like ice, except it's not like a snow cone where you crush it and it hurts your teeth. It's like this beautiful snow, and they put these like this flavor in it of like from the tropical rainforest, and there's fresh fruit, and there's ice cream, and there's little gelatin balls. And the digger you deepen it, you find more and more of these like treasures of like sweet things. And it's like you spend like 45 minutes eating dessert. It's the most amazing. And then they put corn in it. And red beans. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you literally invented the perfect dessert. And then somebody decided to put corn in it. I like corn. I like red beans. Not in my dessert. Who would do that? What? Someone, I swear, I'm convinced that at some point, like somebody did this like as a practical joke and it caught on or something. Because can you imagine making that dessert I just described and being like, wow, that's a masterpiece. And then you grab a can of corn and open it up and just dump it on top.
I have often thought about this, like in America, like they had corn, and once it was, made to look good and people wanted it, then there was an abundance of it, and they had to come up with all these different ways to use it. So
somebody had extra corn they needed to get rid of.
I think that's
okay, I got a solution for you, Malaysia. By the way, this is why every country should hire me. They should just hire me to ask me questions. Here's your solution, Malaysia. You have this beautiful dessert. You have a can of corn and a can of red beans. Here's what you do. Kids, if you finish your corn and your red beans, now you may have your dessert. There, boom, problem solved. All three of them get eaten. You don't put corn in your dessert. I still hate pickles worse. By the way, I've eaten a dessert with corn in it. It's weird. It's not that it's bad. It's just weird. Don't get me started. Don't get me started about pickles, though. Did I play the course at Bukit Jetdulong outside of Kuala Lumpur? I did, I believe. Yes, I did. Yeah. That's the first one I played. That's the one at the football course. I mean, foot golf, not football, foot golf course. I did. The courses were good. So check this out. I got a video I'm putting up. You're not going to believe this. Okay, so like the rainforests are the real deal out here. Like we went to this eco camp out there, and we were told flat out that in that jungle are tigers. They're pretty rare. Like how, like anything more than 0 tigers there's tigers in the jungle, right? There's panthers, there's cobras, there's these vipers, there's coral snakes, there's sun bears. Like if a cobra bites you, you die. That's it. Like unless you're in a city and the hospital's next door, like when a cobra bites you, you die. And there's cobras in the jungle, right? So the jungle is the real deal. Well, there's course. I think it's the one in Bukit. It's beautiful, manicured grass, little manicured fairways, good holes. It was a good course. But at the edge of the course is the rainforest, and it goes from beautiful course to something out of a movie in like 1 foot. It's like no rainforest. And there's this one part where I was going in to get my disc, and the guy in my group, Adeno. Did I say Adeno? Adeno. Sorry, Adeno. I'm going in there, and I'm going to go trounce right through the rainforest to get my disc. He grabs me and pulls me back because there's a colony of death ants. They're not called death ants.
Well, they're red, so yeah.
They're red. They're giant red ants. There is a massive colony of ants. It's not an exaggeration. Had I walked through right where I was walking through, I would have been bitten easily over 100 times. Maybe several hundred times, but definitely like at least 100 times. Like that is like literally this far from the fairway is colonies of ants that'll just devour you alive. They'll kill you. Shut up. They'll murder you.
You'll want to die.
They'll murder you. Yes, they will kill you. Oh, thank Isaac George. Love you too. I love anybody that sends me money. Isn't that a horrible thing to say? But I'm from America. We're in a capitalist country. I love everybody that sends me money. But you don't need to send me money. You can buy stuff off my site. I still appreciate it. But I'm doing the live stream for fun. So anyways, yeah. So I got a video of this, which I'll be posting. Like it's basically picture something about this big up in a tree, not that far away. It looks like a bird's nest. It is a solid thing this big around. You zoom in on it, and the whole thing is just a colony of ants. But it's not ants that have built like a bird's nest and they're crawling around it. It is this big, solid ants connected to nothing but other ants. It's like a bird's nest, but there's nothing in the middle. It's not hollow. There's like 10,000 ants in a space this big. And they just hang out in the trees. It's the real deal out here. It's so much fun. Like personally, I think every time you throw a shot in the woods, you should risk being bitten by 100 ants. I think the game would be so much more fun. So
extreme disc golf.
Any news on teaching my U.S. seminars? Yeah, I'm about to be interviewing him for the website. Tyler Wozniak is teaching the U.S. seminars. He was on the Disc Golf Pro Tour last year. He is a extremely high-level golfer. He's unbelievable. Oh, hey. What's up, Isaac? I will absolutely do. Oh, my God, you're not going to believe what okay, well, I'll get to you, Isaac. Yeah, he's really good, but he is a fantastic teacher. First off, he teaches my method, which he's been to my seminars. He's done all my online stuff. We talk constantly, like we're talking every day right now. He teaches exactly the method that I teach at my all-day seminars, and he's teaching seminars all over the U.S. this year. So go to scottstokely.net for a schedule. No, you'll love him. And as soon as he starts doing these, we'll be getting you'll be getting testimonials. Like he's fantastic. He's a great kid. He's going to be with us a very long time. So's Jonathan and Phil. We're close with all the people that are working with us. Those are our seminar people. Our online people, Pete and Don and Brad are the best also. Can I get a big money skin shout out for GK Pro? Yes, you can. As you may have seen, I have a documentary coming out about me. I believe, I don't want to say for sure, but supposedly it's going to be on Amazon Prime. It's a documentary about me. And within, I've already seen it. It's basically done. We're just fine tuning the details. It's about to go. But Mr. GK Pro, on the documentary, within 20 seconds of the documentary, this big thing that says special thanks to GK Pro, because GK Pro allowed us to use the footage. They didn't license us the footage. They said, use the footage for whatever you need to. We support everything you do. And GK Pro was very kind. They didn't need to do that, or they certainly could have charged us for it. And they did. They just gave it to me to support this documentary. So, yeah, undeniably grateful. That's not the right word. Unwaveringly grateful. I'm very grateful to GK Pro for the footage. They give us all the raw footage too, so it's not just stuff from the skins match. It's other stuff as well. And the documentary, it's so good. You're not going to believe how good it is. And hopefully the way it's looking, it's mainstream. I mean, if it's on Amazon Prime, it should reach an audience of like not just disc golfers. Yeah. They did great. All right. Hey, wait. I see Peter Luna's on here, but we'll get to. Hey, don't go anywhere, Peter. My number one fan is here. Yeah. Thank you, Isaac. What's the best dessert type food you've eaten so far? Okay, that same dessert I described without the corn and red beans is perfect.
So we've discovered there's different versions based on the different ethnicities.
Yeah. Okay, so there's so many different ethnicities out here, and the countries are so close together. It's just we're not used to that in the U.S. I mean, it's kind of like if you live in a border town, like down south, right? You're like, okay, there's the like the Mexican food and the American food, whatever, right? But imagine now you have like a dozen ethnicities all living in the same place, because the cultures there's definitely a bunch of cultures. Like in Malaysia, there is the Chinese Malaysia, there is the Malay Malaysia, there is the Indian Malaysians, and then there is the native Malaysians. So there's like 4 major ethnicities that are all just coexisting, right? Different cultures, different religions, everything. So there's this one dessert that it's basically the same dessert across different cultures. What is it called? I don't know what anything's called.
Malaysian version of it is Shendal.
Shendal is the Malaysian version.
There's Ice Kacang.
Ice Kacang is the Chinese.
And then the Koreans and Japanese have a different version.
Koreans and Japanese.
So, but it's like more and more sweet. It goes from like the Chendal has the corn and the
Okay, the Chendal, we don't want the Chendal.
The Ice Kacang has none of that.
So,
and then the Korean and Japanese versions have like condensed sweetened milk and.
So here's how to make it. Check this out. So first off, they make a volcano like this big, like not kidding, like a volcano of ice. But it's not ice. It's like a snow cone. But it's not a snow cone, because y'all know from snow cones, it's basically like crunchy ice that hurts your teeth until it turns into water. Right? It's like the magic of a Slurpee almost, except it doesn't melt for like half an hour, which is in Southeast Asia. It's like it never gets below like 1,000 degrees out here. So somehow it doesn't melt. There's something magic in there. But they cover it with all these different flavors. So the ice itself, like it's kind of like a snow cone, would have like, and by the way, there's like 100 different choices at the restaurant, but there's like multiple flavors that are like flavored ice in different sections. And then they cover it with different fruits. So you'll have mango and papaya and kiwi and all these different sections of fruit wrapped around this volcano beautifully. It takes like, by the way, it takes like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to make this thing. Then they'll put ice cream on top, and they'll have ice cream around the side of it as well. Then they'll cover it with multiple syrups, artistically done. So you'll get your chocolate, your caramel, your strawberry, your mango. So now there's all these different, so now there's like 9 different things as part of this dessert. And it's like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm not kidding when I say it can take like 20 to 30 minutes to make this. It's a masterpiece for like $5. Which is, by the way, the dinner only costs $2. The dessert costs $5. Then it's like you're like looking at like 8 different desserts wrapped into one. You start eating it, and you start discovering treasures inside. So you get inside, you find another type of fruit that wasn't on the outside, and then you get to these like little jellies inside, and then you keep going, and you get these other little jellies, but then they're hollow, but they're filled with a syrup. So when you eat them, they pop and they turn to syrup in your mouth. And you dig deeper, and you keep finding more treasures, and you eat it for like 45 minutes, and it never melts. Yeah, I'm kind of excited. This is why I'm doing training camp.
That one's called bingsu.
That's called bingsu? Yeah. It's unbelievable. I'm not kidding them. If it was in the U.S., they would have, because of how long it takes to make, they'd have to charge like $40 for it. Mm-hmm. It would definitely be like a very special date night. Like, let's put it this way, fellas. You take a girl out and buy her bingsu, she owes you afterwards.
Can't say that.
I can't say that, can I? I'm not at the age where I can say that?
No.
Okay, never mind. Then I take that back, everybody. That was completely sarcasm. What about if it's like a steak dinner? What if it's surf and turf? Does she owe you then?
We'll talk about it later.
Okay. People like, wow. I just went from 90 people to like 80 like that.
Yeah.
How to get rid of 10% of your audience in one sentence. I don't care. I'm so over people not having a sense of humor. If people don't have a sense of humor, like, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like, I was so uptight for a few years. Like, I can't have a sense of humor. I gotta be so careful. I'm over it. Like, I'm just going to be funny and me. I'm a good person. I'm not hurting anybody. And if someone gets offended at my joke, I'm okay with it.
Well, the problem with that is when people think that they're getting offended, it's because they're assuming intent that is not there.
No, I don't think they care. People don't care about intent. I don't think it's the intent to take care
No,
of it.
they feel attacked. That's
They
their
feel attacked.
problem. Yeah, they're assuming intent.
Okay, so let me make this clear. Just because the guy buys you bingsu, okay, she doesn't owe you anything. Just because you buy your surf and turf, she doesn't owe you anything. Okay, let's be clear about that. But if I can be clear about that, can you at least concede that if you buy surf and turf and bingsu, now she owes you?
A second date.
Okay, there we go. Peter Luna, my number one super friend. Hey, what's up, Peter Luna? Hey, if you've been on my page anytime in the last week or two, if you saw my number one super fan wearing the Scott Stokely blue jersey, that was my number one super fan, Peter Luna. Peter is part of the Down Syndrome Disc Buddies of Geneva or Finger Lakes, New York. It is a disc golf club made up entirely of kids with Down syndrome, but it's not a Down syndrome club. It's a disc golf club first and foremost. Everyone's got their own golf bag. Every single person in the club has their own discs. They got their own drivers. They got their own putters. They know how to play the game, and they're pretty darn good. If you watch my video, go to my Instagram page. I still have it tagged or pinned to the top of my page. On my Instagram page is the Down Syndrome Disc Buddies, but it's my number one favorite club, my favorite disc golf club in the whole world, and Peter's one of my super fans. So I love you, Peter, and please, Peter, do me a favor. Go give your mom a hug right now and tell her that hug's from me.
And say hi to Nick too. He says Nick.
Oh, my friend Nick says hi to you. Yes, and please say hi to Nick too. Hello, Nick. Yeah, I love that's my favorite club. It was so great because I do all these, like I show up. I'll tell the story real quickly. I show up and I do all my Blue Power events, and a lot of times I'm teaching disc golf. Well, I'm almost always teaching disc golf because I'm showing up, and I'm teaching a class. I'm introducing disc golf to a school for kids with special needs, or maybe it's an assisted living for adults with special needs, an assisted living home or something. But I'm always introducing the game to people. That's the whole idea of these Blue Power events. But every one of them is different. So I get asked to go out to Geneva, New York, because I was in Ithaca, and it was only like maybe an hour out of the way. So it's like, yeah, of course I'll drive an hour. So I go up to go, and I get out of the car, and I see all the kids that were there for what I thought was going to be a class, and every one of them's got a golf bag. They're putting, they're throwing. I'm like, I'm not teaching a class here. Like they all know how to play. Their parents and a couple of the local disc golfers taught them how to disc golf, and they were all really good. So it was probably the most fun I've ever had because I didn't have to be a teacher. I just got to go play disc golf with my friends in the Disc Buddies Club. So that was really cool. So yeah, and best part of all, the Down Syndrome Disc Buddy Club, you guys are inspiring other people to go out and try something that they might be afraid to try. But you said very clearly that if they try disc golf, they'll love it. So you're inspiring other people to try disc golf too. Thanks, you guys. I love all of you. What's the farthest you've ever thrown, and how far can you throw now? Okay, so I had the Guinness World Record for the longest throw of a backhand at 656 feet, and then I broke that record 693 feet, and I had the sidearm distance record at 568 feet. That doesn't seem too far by modern standards. I mean, I know it's far, but by modern standards, it's not really far. But that's with speed 6 and speed 7 discs. So those were borderline mid-range discs. They were drivers, but they weren't even like regular fairway drivers. They were slow fairway drivers. How far I throw now, I can, if I really get a hold of a backhand now, I can push 600 feet. I can definitely hit the 600-foot mark if I really get it just right. But I'm consistently like 525, 540. I can get to. But I can pull a 600-foot off throw, backhand. Sidearm, and this is, by the way, this is on video. It's I think it's still pinned to the top of my Instagram page also. I was at a clinic in Columbus just this last year, Columbus, Ohio, and I was demonstrating perfectly flat ground, and I threw a sidearm at the clinic demonstrations that hit the 600-foot mark with a sidearm. And we shot it with lasers. I mean, it was all 600 feet. That doesn't mean I consistently throw 600. 500 is like probably the max I would say that I could really get a hold of one consistently. The thing is, here's the thing about distance. Okay, so maximum distance and golf distance are two different things. When you're on the pro tour, you don't need to throw 600 feet. You need to throw 450 on a controlled hyzer. Basically 450 feet, but not something you have to anhyzer high and then flex and get the perfect angle. Those are such inconsistent throws. You need to be able to take a disc, put on a little bit of hyzer, have it do a little hyzer flip and fly basically straight and fade at the end. Super controllable 450. That's really what you need for the tour. Anything more than that's just a bonus. By the way, that also means if you can throw a 450 controlled hyzer, that means that's hard enough to go 500, maybe 525 with that flex shot. So occasionally you can try to get a hold of one when there's no risk involved. But you don't need 600-foot throws for the tour. There's so much trouble on these courses with out of bounds that it comes into play that you rarely are really getting a hold of one. I'm not saying never, but rarely, if you can throw 600 feet, are you going to throw a 600-foot throw on a course? It's not important. If you can hit your spot at 450, you're good, distance-wise. 475 maybe. I'd like to see more trees cut down so you see more aces. No, more trees are always better. unless the trees make a hole completely lucky. I don't like more trees better. They got it like harder. Well, at least in my opinion, harder is better. Yeah, I mean, unless you're talking about blind shots, and blind shots are kind of a whole different thing. But if it's like a par 4, especially, blind holes are, if there's trees, blind holes kind of come with the territory. Because if it's a par 4 and you can see the basket, it's probably a pretty wide open hole. So no, trees. So I think most people like more trees. But here's the thing: there is no right or wrong answer to this as far as the type of course you want to design. If it's your course, you design it however you want, and it's the player's job to take on the challenges you created however you thought that it was best. I like more trees. That's just me. Let's see. Where do you think the sport will be when Paul, Ricky are my age? You mean in 50 years? I think it's going to keep evolving, and we're going to be the biggest sport on planet Earth. In fact, here I'm going to tell you my theory as to why disc golf will be the biggest sport on planet Earth. Okay, this is going to take a minute to explain, but I'm not saying disc golf is going to be the biggest sport on planet Earth because I love disc golf so much and everyone's going to love it. I think there's a very logical reason to think that disc golf will be the biggest sport on Earth. Here's why. So the sport of disc golf offers everything that the sport of ball golf offers. And by the way, sorry if you've heard this before, but I think this is my logic here. I think you could make the case that ball golf has been the greatest sport in the world before disc golf. The reason why ball golf is the greatest sport in the world is because of dozens of things that the personal challenges, the journey to improve yourself, the excitement from that one good shot that keeps you coming back, the competition, the exercise, the peacefulness, whatever you want. Like, there's so many reasons why ball golf was great, but the reason why I would argue that that it has been the greatest sport is that the athletes in all the other sports on planet Earth, when they retire, a huge percentage of them take up ball golf. When ball golfers retire, they don't take up these other sports. Everything has been filtering one direction into the game of golf because the game of golf is so great. Well, everything that ball golf offers, disc golf offers. There's nothing that ball golf offers that we don't offer as well. But we also offer things that ball golf doesn't offer. We're less expensive. We take up less space. We're more environmentally friendly. It takes less time to play. There's more variety in the types of courses that we're on. We're simply more accessible to more people. Now, the sport of ball golf is not the most popular sport in the world because it is very expensive to play. So if you took everybody out of the equation that can't afford to be a ball golfer, or certainly not a regular ball golfer, you're left with a very small demographic of people that can afford to golf. They have the financial means to play ball golf. Well, the percentage of those people that play ball golf is really high. Like, I don't know the numbers, but I don't know, what, 25% of people that have money play ball golf? So what that tells me is that the game of golf, it will be enjoyed by 25% of humans who have the ability to play it. Well, there's no reason then to think that disc golf, because it offers everything ball golf does, won't ultimately be enjoyed by 25% of the humans that it's accessible to. Well, it's accessible to everybody as more courses go on the ground, which means there should be 75 million people playing in a country of 300 million. That just seems reasonable. If 25% of people that like this game will play it, well, 25% of the people that like disc golf or that have access to disc golf should play it. That would make us the biggest sport in the country, in the US. Well, that's what's happening in Scandinavia. It's what's happening in Finland and Estonia. It's their sport now. And it's happening everywhere where the economy is good, where disc golf is accessible to those people. Now, disc golf doesn't exist in a lot of countries, but disc golf is also not financially accessible to people in developing countries. Discs, baskets first off, but especially discs cost too much money. So disc golf in Indonesia is like ball golf in the US. If there was a disc golf in Indonesia, it would be an elitist sport. Only a small percentage of people in Indonesia can afford to play disc golf, which means you're going to have a smaller percentage of people there to play. However, as soon as they are able to manufacture discs, and I won't go into details here, but this is about to start happening, but manufacturing discs that are affordable in developing countries. And they're going to do this by not using petroleum-based plastics like polyurethane and polypropylene, polyethylene, but maybe I'm getting it wrong. But basically, they're going to be producing with plant-based oils, golf discs. As soon as they do that, then everybody will have access to disc golf in developing countries, just like they all have access to cricket and soccer. As soon as that happens, there's no reason to think that 25% of those people aren't going to play disc golf because they're the exact same biological humans that we are. They will enjoy the game of golf just the same way we enjoy the game of golf. So as disc golf becomes accessible to everybody in the world, I don't see any reason why 25% of the people in the world aren't playing disc golf. And if that happens, that's 2 billion people. So there, I hope I didn't bore the heck out of you with that one, but that is a logical path that I see to disc golf being the biggest sport on planet Earth. There, how about that one? So where do I see the sport going? Ricky and Paul are my age. I see 2 billion people playing. That's my that's my long story. I hope I didn't bore you with that one. Have I ever met it? Yeah, I knew Ed. I knew Ed very well. Everybody back then did. So you got to remember, when the sport was small, we all knew each other. Like, nothing happened at a tournament that we didn't hear about because there weren't that many tournaments. Like, if a new course went in the ground, like I played my first round of disc golf on the world's first course designed by Ed, when it was the only course in the entire world. So there was a time when you'd be in California and you would hear, hey, they built a course in Baltimore. No way, we're in Baltimore now. Like, that was newsworthy back then. And by the way, the person that put the course in, I played with him at the World Championships last year. We were a very small community. Everybody knew each other. So we all knew Ed. And Ed was an he was an interesting guy. He was a businessman. He was a businessman first and foremost. I think it's one of the best examples of when someone faults inherently will fault something for profit, like, oh, they're just doing it for the money, oh, they're just trying to make money off it. A lot of people make the assumption that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Ed created our sport to make money. He was a businessman. It's not a bad thing. Like, we exist because this person left Whammo and basically built the Disc Golf Association, the DGA. He started putting courses in the ground. He went to trade shows. He built our sport as a capitalistic venture. We exist because of that. Ed was a businessman, for better or worse. So, like, we all considered Ed our friends. I mean, we were all friends back then. So we all considered them our friends. But he was also a businessman. And if you put a course in the ground and you had homemade baskets in your backyard, Ed would sue you for it. You would get a cease and desist letter and you'd be threatened with a lawsuit. So there's two, people are complex. There's two sides to it. So Ed is I had I think a lot of us had a love-hate relationship with Ed to some extent. We definitely loved him. And at the same time, sometimes it's like, damn it, Ed, why are you being Ed? But he's also on my Mount Rushmore of disc golf. He's also the first name on Mount Rushmore. He's the godfather of our sport, period. So, like, I'm grateful to Ed and I love Ed. But he was complex, like a lot of us. You've been listening to my audiobook recently. Can you share what your favorite bingo number is and why? Did I write about the bingo in my audiobook?
It's the whole book, so it's in the book.
Okay, I didn't know I put that in there. It was B3 because that was what started my poker career. When I was young, I was 19 years old. I was very high. I was very high on drugs when I was 19 years old, and I went out to play bingo because I know it seemed fun at the time, and I still remember I won my first bingo on B3. I won $250. I went out to the Commerce Card Club with $250 in my pocket and decided to play poker for the first time in an actual card club. I was only 18 or 19 years old, but I had a fake ID. We all had fake IDs back then. So I had an ID that said I was 21. So I went to the Commerce Card Casino. I lost all $250 playing poker. I never even played Hold'em before back then. And then I became addicted to playing poker. But it was, I still remember it was on B3. That was my bingo number. It's a true story. Eagle and Kristen both had serious injuries from forehand. What do you see wrong with their form? And have you ever had shoulder, elbow problems from forehand? So I don't see anything wrong with their form. So I'll explain. Let me go kind of big picture first. And I'm not a doctor, and I don't claim to be any more knowledgeable about injuries than I am. I can only tell you observationally what I've seen. I can't tell you the physiology behind why these things do or don't happen. But I've coached thousands and thousands of players, and so I have a pretty good idea observing what is good for you and what's not. And it's been my observation that proper backhand form should never hurt. You should be able to throw backhands and throw backhands far your entire life. And when you're 80 years old, you should not hurt from throwing backhands. I mean, I suppose everything else will probably hurt because you're 80. But backhand is the most low impact natural movement for the body. Backhand should never hurt. The same is not true for the sidearm. My observation has been that even with proper sidearm form, there are a couple weak spots on the human body. One is the rotator cuff, or right where the bursa sac is, and one is this tendon right here. Both of those can hurt from throwing sidearms properly. It's just it's a higher impact mechanical movement on the arm that does cause more strain than the backhand does. This is why professional baseball pitchers could injure their elbows or blow their elbows out, not because they were pitching with improper form, but because they that motion is just a strain on these joints or these tendons. So it's not that there's anything wrong with their form. Sidearm is inherently more strain on the arm than the backhand. Now, having said that, there are things you can do with proper form that seriously reduce injury. And if you do hurt, it reduces the severity of it. With proper form, it is much lower impact. I'm 53 years old. I just threw a 600-foot sidearm. I can comfortably throw 500-foot sidearms today. I go out right now, throw a 500-foot sidearm. My arm's not going to hurt at all. One of the things when you watch me throw that you'll observe is people will say, it doesn't even look like he's trying to throw hard. Okay, well, that's crazy. Obviously, I'm throwing as hard as I physically can. I'm making my arm go as fast as it can. It doesn't look like I'm throwing hard because it's smooth. And the reason it's smooth is because my mechanics are correct. With correct mechanics, everything syncs up and it goes together. There's no severe impact. There's no jerkiness. Everything looks smooth. It's fast, but smooth, which means the impact on my arm is just significantly lower. It does not mean that I won't get injured tomorrow throwing a sidearm. Sidearm is a vulnerable throw, but as of today, that hasn't happened. So proper mechanics can reduce the chance of injury. It can reduce the severity of injuries if you get them, but it doesn't mean that sidearm is completely, you're not vulnerable to being hurt. Here's the thing y'all got to remember. Keep something in mind. We think of disc golf, especially because there's still this kind of thought that we're playing frisbees in a park, that we're not being athletes. That's could be further from the truth. Like when you throw as hard as you can, that is no different than a baseball pitcher throwing as hard as they can, or a baseball player swinging a bat as hard as they can, or a runner running as fast as they can. You're still pushing your body to the extreme end of how far and how hard and how fast you can make your body go at that moment in time. Okay, so the idea that you're not putting a strain on your body just because you're playing frisbee golf is completely false. You are doing an athletic sport, and it is a high impact sport on your body. This is why it helps to be in shape. This is why you want to warm up properly. This is why you want to have correct mechanics. You can hurt yourself. You're playing a sport. Don't ever forget that you're playing a sport. It might seem like a recreational game. It's not. I mean, you're pushing your body to the extreme. I mean, does anybody out there, can any of you say that when you play disc golf, you never throw as hard as you can? Right? Of course not. We all throw as hard as we can sometime. If you do anything physically as hard as you can, you are putting strain on your body. That's why you got to do things, correct mechanics. Here, I'm going to go and plug my class now.
But Eagle didn't get hurt throwing his sidearm.
Yeah, Eagle didn't get hurt throwing his sidearm. He got hurt. I don't want to speak for Eagle, but he was actually demonstrating something, kind of goofing off, doing something. It wasn't just from throwing his sidearm. That's not what hurt it. He wasn't throwing his traditional sidearm. Eagle's sidearm is flawless. Eagle's mechanics are there to die for. If I was going to wax poetic about Eagle's sidearm, I have a 6-month online class, Become a Complete Disc Golfer. It's all about learning. It's the process to learning the proper mechanics to play disc golf. Not just to prevent injury. Number one, first and foremost, it's to score better, throw farther, hit your lines, make your shots, win tournaments, right? That's the number one goal of the class. but it correlates exactly with also what's going to be the best for your body. Yeah, I'm not trying to just pitch my class, but I'm going to add something I've discovered that's really neat. It's a complete coincidence. It turns out that the proper mechanics to throwing maximum distance are exactly the same as the proper mechanics to preventing injury. And this is really cool because, like, I'm older, okay? I come from like sports coaching in the 70s, right? Like, I'm not going to be just inherently soft on people because the number one goal is to not get hurt and finish the race. It's like, no one's taking lessons from me or taking my classes for those reasons. People are taking the classes to score better, to throw farther. And if I had discovered, because I've taught more than anyone in the game, for sure, if I had discovered that there were two different techniques, one that let you throw the farthest and one that prevented injury, I would have no problem teaching those as separate classes. And I would have no problem saying to people, hey, if you want to throw far, it's going to hurt. And if you want to throw far, you might feel pain in your 50s. And then I would teach you how to throw far. Like, I would have no problem doing that. I'm not going to just, oh, I don't teach that. You can get hurt doing that. We're playing sports. Sometimes you get hurt. Get over it, right? All sports can hurt you, right? So I'm not soft on people when I teach. It's a complete coincidence that what I've learned is that the proper technique to prevent injury is exactly the way you're supposed to throw mechanically the farthest. They correlate perfectly together. So I think it's luck of the draw that our sport happens to be a sport that the correct way to throw is also the safest way to throw. And it's really neat. So I don't have to teach both. I can actually teach the best way to throw and then say it also is going to be the lowest cause of injury. It's cool. Hey, Scott, big fan. Thank you. What's the best advice someone has ever given me? All right, I'm going to go deep here. Everybody put on your deep caps. I'm going to go deep. But it is the best advice. When I wrote my book, the very first sentence of the book is I put a quote in there like you do in a book. And that if it's your autobiography, it's kind of like, what's the most important quote message of your life? This is the one sentence that everybody you can get to. And the single best advice I've ever gotten was to go where the love is, not where it's supposed to be. And I think this is the biggest thing that I think that if people followed, they would succeed more at life. The basic idea is that, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Show me your role models, I'll show you what you're going to become, right? The people in your life are the ones that you are most likely to become like, right? That's your group. And everybody out there has people in their life that love them and people in the life that are good for them, that inspire them, that they can learn from, that they can emulate. Whatever you want to call it. There's people out there you can learn from. The problem is those people are often not the people they're supposed to be, because that's supposed to be your parents. That's supposed to be your teachers. That's supposed to be your pastor. That's supposed to be your family. In fact, to some extent, it's supposed to be celebrities, movie stars, right? Or professional athletes, culturally. And those people often suck. They often fail you. And the biggest thing that you can do wrong in life, in my opinion, is to go where the love is supposed to be. Like, I'm gonna learn life from my parents because they're my parents. Well, that's not always the best advice, because it could be that your little league coach or your third grade teacher, or your friend's parents could be far better for you than the people that are supposed to be. Just because they made you doesn't mean they're good parents. I'm sorry. So the best advice I've ever been given is to seek those people out. So I grew up in a family that was dysfunctional, to say the least. I wrote about it a little bit in my book. I don't know if they were bad people, but I think most of the people in my family and extended family, they weren't people. Like, if I had gravitated towards them in my life, I would be like them today. And I didn't. Instead, I sought out those people that were around me. Happened to be, they were all in the Frisbee community. They were my Frisbee family. But I gravitated to those people that were successful. They were happy. They had good relationships. They were financially successful. They, and I've been very imperfect throughout my life. I'm not suggesting that I always followed well, but by seeking out those people that had something to offer that I wanted was the best thing that I ever did in my entire life. And if I had simply went and said, well, this is my family first. Well, then I would be like my family. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. That's for damn sure. So anyways, that's the best advice I've ever been given. Seek out the people that are good for you, not the people that are supposed to be good for you. Did that just take a little dramatic turn there? Sorry, but you asked the question, is my schedule posted anywhere? Anything in the U.S. Midwest? No, I'm not going to be in the U.S. for at least the next few years. I'm going to be doing the Euro Tour the next 2 years, and I'll be doing, this winter was Australia, New Zealand, Southeast Asia. Next winter, my plan is India and Africa. That's where I want to spend next winter, and then do the Euro Tour again the year after. And then I got to do South America after that. Not got to, but so I'm not going to be in the U.S. for a while. My schedule is going to be posted soon. We're just about finalized on it. Hey, Scott, will I be playing the Austin Open this year? Same answer. Nope. I will be 10,000 miles away from the Austin Open. I'll be watching I'll be watching this reality TV show called The U.S. I'm sorry. I love America. I love the U.S. It seems to have lost its way the last 5 years or so, quite a bit. So we're just kind of enjoying watching, or we're like watching it like it's a television show now. It'll bounce back.
You do have seminars though that are lining up.
Oh, I do have seminars. Yeah, my Tyler Wozniak is teaching the disc golf. The Stokely Method full day seminars. If you go to that, schedule is posted on my scottstokely.net, and he's fantastic. Are you renting a car on an island? I would love to see you on a 125cc motorbike. Okay, I'm going to explain. Okay. Oh, no, you wouldn't want to. Not if you cared about me. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we rented a car in Australia and New Zealand. They're huge countries, especially Australia. There's so many places to get to and see. We decided for our 4 months in Asia, we were going to do, we like experiences. We like different types of experiences. Good or bad, doesn't matter. We like new experiences. And so we decided for our Asia trip, we took what little stuff we had and we got rid and that's all we own, right? We don't own anything except what we have on us. We got rid of half the stuff we owned and consolidated our entire life into 2 backpacks. We each have a backpack. And I'm not exaggerating. I don't own a single thing in this world that doesn't fit into a backpack. Aside from merchandise that I sell, like I have merchandise going to Europe for the Euro Tour to sell at clinics and stuff. But as far as personal belongings, everything I own is in a backpack. And the reason we did that in Asia was because we're boots on the ground here. We're buses, we're hiring people in vans to drive us places, we're taking trains, but we're just trying to be with the people in Asia. We want to actually experience this life. So that was our plan was. So when we got to Indonesia, the very first thing we thought was we looked, and probably 75% of the people drive little motorbikes. Basically, whether they're mopeds or little tiny, like 125cc motorbikes. The first thought we had was, remember, we said we should go rent a motorcycle for the week.
We were talking about it on the ferry ride over.
We talked about it on the ferry ride over,
yeah.
And then we got over there. Holy cow! You all cannot believe this. I know there's like traffic light videos up on YouTube you can watch. It is no exaggeration. It is. How do you describe it? It's a video game.
It's a thrill ride.
It is a thrill ride. We're in the back of the cab, taking a ride. It's like we're like 45 minutes or an hour or something from the main town, because we're staying outside of town. And we're driving down the road, and about halfway through the cab ride, I look over at Adrienne and I said, I can never ride a roller coaster again.
I've never been so scared in my life.
I've never been so scared. My heart's never beaten so fast. And I'm not worried about me, because we're in a car, everybody else is on bikes. But the taxi is zooming in and out of, like, around, and there's bikes both directions, boom, 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 and they're side by side and they're crossing lanes. Here's the thing about a lot of the places in Asia I've discovered. They don't have traffic laws. They have traffic suggestions. You know, a line on the ground is almost wasted paint. And I'm not exaggerating. It is an absolute free for all here. And we're like watching this, and the first thing you see is an adult with, like, carrying a baby on their motorcycle. And then you see one carrying a baby with a 3-year-old behind them. And then you see 2 adults on a motorcycle. And then we would see multiple times, we would see a family of 5 on a motorcycle. 1 adult with 4 kids, or 2 adults and 3 kids, little kids, all on one motorcycle. They're going like 40 miles an hour down the road. No one's wearing helmets, right? And they're just riding, like, the mom's holding a baby. She's got a kid on her shoulders. The guy's behind, and there's another child between them, and there's another child behind them holding on. And, like, every time we saw 5 of them, we would take a picture. So we got a collection of pictures of 5 people on a motorbike. Anyways, we're like, we are not getting on a motorcycle. Like, the chances of death are so imminently high. Would you say?
And it's weird, because although the traffic is so chaotic, we have seen fewer
you don't see any car accidents. That's the weirdest part. This is like a video game. There's no car crashes on the side of the road. Like, one, I think we saw 1. We've seen 1 the whole time. You have, like, explaining it doesn't do it justice. It is absolutely insane.
No, and the gaps that they squeeze through, like, there's full size semi trucks coming at you, and the taxi will shift over. And
here's what'll happen. So check this out. Okay. If you'll think I'm exaggerating unless you've been here. If you've been here, you've seen this. Imagine this: a 2-lane road. Okay, there's a line in the middle of the road sometimes. Okay, 2-lane road. You have a car on this side and a car on this side, and they're passing each other, right, on a 2-lane road. Now, it's no wider than a 2-lane road in the U.S. or anywhere else, right? It's basically enough for a car with a little bit of room on each side. The 2 cars pass. If it's timed correctly, as those 2 cars are passing, there are 2 motorbikes in between also passing.
Yes.
And I am not kidding when I say you're this far from the handlebars of the bike next to you, that far from the bike, and they somehow don't crash. It is. Yeah, I'm not getting on a motorbike here. You couldn't pay me to get on a motorbike here.
I don't even know how you gain enough confidence driving.
No, the reason you gain enough confidence is a lot of the kids driving the motorbikes are 10 years old. They've been doing it since they're 10 years old. They're experts. Yeah, words don't do it justice. It's a video game. It's so exciting. You just hold your breath and you sit in the back seat of the cab or the Grab, which is like Uber out here. You just sit in the back seat and just
Pete Collins
mesmerized.
Commented that it reminds him of, like, Paperboy, the video game. But that's, like, even too organized.
Paperboy, the video game, is too organized. It's not
even. That's not their accurate comparison
yes.
at all.
Oh, and instead of wearing a helmet, most of the people aren't wearing helmets. Depending on where you are, there's places where no one's wearing a helmet. What they do is they put their jackets on forward, backwards in front for good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yeah. Anyways, I won't be renting a motorbike on the island. I'll be perfectly happy in the back seat of the cab.
Yeah.
And by perfectly happy, I mean terrified.
White knuckle.
White knuckle. Yeah. But it works. I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's like they got a great system. I mean, everybody's got a different system. Sorry you came in late. I haven't been in Thailand yet. I'm in Thailand right now. Lived in Bangkok for 7 years, set up an object course in the middle of the city, Lumpini Park in the late 90s. That's awesome. No, we're going to be in Bangkok on Tuesday. Hey, I'm going to be doing something, maybe. I'm meeting, so if you haven't noticed, my teeth suck. Like, I hate them. They're just old. Like just you get older, your teeth start to get old, right? And I am meeting with a cosmetic dentist and talking to him about getting a full new set of teeth. And I'm terrified of this, but I looked into the prices. It was like $40,000 in the U.S. Like, I can't even come close to affording that. It is significantly cheaper out here, and all the reviews say that it's just as good as like the U.S. or the West. I mean, they have a whole industry built around cosmetic surgery. We call medical tourism. It's medical. It's cheaper out here, but it's not inferior. So if things work out, I'm going to set an appointment and then come back in a couple of weeks and get a full new set of teeth. Like, I'm in pain right now. Like, my teeth are like, I have days where my teeth just hurt and I can't do anything about it. I'm not taking painkillers because I had a problem with Vicodin like 20 years ago, and I'm terrified of that. So I can't take anything for my teeth other than aspirin, which helps a little. So I'm going to hopefully get my teeth in Bangkok in a couple weeks.
Joe said it's more like Frogger, Joe Orsino.
More like Frogger.
That's trying to cross the road.
Yeah. Oh, trying to cross the road. Okay, Joe Orsino says trying to cross the road. Yeah. How else do you describe it? I mean, it is a video game. There are times in the city where the only way to cross the road is to walk halfway across the road and stop and have traffic going on both sides of you without a median in between. And if you don't do that, you will not get across the road. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to.
There's been plenty of times that we go through and then stop and then get halfway into the final lane that's on the way to the curb and then have to back up.
Yeah, and then you back up. It is so Frogger's a great description. It's very accurate. But it's also really fun. I don't know. It's like an adventure park. I don't know. I think it's fun. I ain't worried about it. What tree is the best tree? Why? I think you're trying to get me to say baobab. Maybe.
That's a good one.
We'll go baobab. Who do I look up to? Who is my mentor, past and present? You know, I've been asked this a lot, and I won't spend as long on this as I did a minute ago talking about what I said the best advice I've ever gotten. But I don't have a mentor. I have mentors. You know, the what I figured out was one of the best things you can do, and again, I won't go into the detail I went to before. I'll make this brief. But one of the best things you can do in life is figure out when you see somebody that has something you want, figure out how to get it, maybe from them. I don't even take it from them. I mean, like, if you see someone who's happy,
how they got it.
Figure out how they got happy. If you see someone who's making more money than you, go figure out how they're making more money. If you see someone in a good marriage and you're in a bad relationship or would like a good relationship, go figure out how their relationship is good. But it doesn't mean that person in a good relationship is good at business. You know, it doesn't mean that they necessarily have other qualities, but they can have one quality that is something you want, and go figure it out. So I think having one mentor is like, that's too much to ask of anybody. you know. But if someone has a quality that you like or something you want, figure out. By the way, this can be completely materialistic. Like if you've always wanted a boat and your neighbor just bought a boat, go figure out how your neighbor bought that boat. But, you know, then they're your boat mentor.
Hi, Adino.
Hey, what's up, Indeno? What's up? Hey, we were talking about you earlier. I talked about you saving me from the colony of army ants, or what I call them, death ants.
Death ants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I carried the bag.
Yes.
I would carry the bag, except he doesn't have any discs.
Yeah, I don't have any discs, and at the course at Koh Samui, I'm gonna have like 3 discs. I'm gonna have a putter, a mid-range, and a driver and a berg. Like no, 2 bergs. I'll have 5 discs, so that's gonna be easy. Probably holding the umbrella. She's gonna be keeping my discs dry because it's gonna be raining out here. Hey, Scott, you live in Joshua Tree, California. A black hole of no disc golf. Nearest course 1.5 hours away. I just started a club. Wonder if you have any advice for me. Hoping to get the city to install a course. Okay, so I'm not the expert at getting courses in the ground. That hasn't been where my efforts have been. I've been more in teaching disc golf as opposed to courses going in. So I am not the expert there. I would reach out to the other courses around Los Angeles and talk to the other clubs out there, talk to them about how they did this. I will tell you this, though. One of the best things you can do is, and I know Joshua Tree is not the biggest city, but if you coordinate your efforts, like with the Boy Scouts, for instance, or the Boy Scouts even exist? They get sued out of existence.
No, Boy Scouts are, very active in.
They're active, okay.
Park systems.
Like things like the
that.
Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, like something like that is a great, tie yourself to an organization. Parks don't want to hear that you want disc golf because disc golf is cool. They want to hear disc golf is going to be used by people, and especially it's going to be kids. It's going to be a big one. They want to know how many people are going to use it for how much money they spend. Like if they pay $5,000 on a swing set, how many people are going to swing on that swing set this year? And that will determine if they do a swing set or a horseshoe pit, generally. So if you get a group like the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts behind it that are basically saying, yeah, us kids will play, well, that's a really good push. That's probably I would say connect with them and connect with the local clubs. So
there was there's the highest level of Boy Scout is called Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
And their whole achievement of that accomplishment is based on projects and completing a big project. And a lot of them will work with park systems, and we've been contacted by one.
Yeah, I've been actually.
Scout.
Yeah, so the Eagle Scouts can, as part of their project, can design and get a course put in the ground. A number of Eagle Scouts have done this, and I've actually written letters to as commendation, that word? Letters of commendation to Eagle Scouts for getting courses in the ground, that they frame up the letters and they put up on their walls. But yeah, connect with the Scouts. Connect with the Scouts, with the local clubs. And also, by the way, if you contact any of the, I don't know, I can't say this for sure, but I'm positive it's the case. If you contact any of the manufacturers, and you're not that far from Innova, they should have information to help you out as well, because they would love to sell you the baskets. Innova makes good baskets. They would love to sell you the baskets. And as a business, once the baskets are on the ground, they're going to sell more discs, right? So it's very win-win. But they should have information to help you out too. What is the best tree to hit with the disc? The one behind the basket, not the one between you and the basket. How's that for a cheating answer?
I was going to say not the first available.
Yeah, not first available. No, the one behind the basket that keeps you from going long. The one between the basket and out of bounds.
No, that's a better answer.
Yeah. Newbie here, one key piece of advice. Yeah, everybody's going to say just have fun. That's the worst advice anybody's ever given someone new to disc golf, because like obviously you're playing because it's fun. That's like saying the best advice is to remember to breathe. I'm sorry, you've heard that before, right? Yeah. Remember to breathe. Really, Remember to breathe. Thanks for telling me nothing. No, I would say the number one advice when you're starting to play is the most important thing for your game is mechanics. It's not mental game. It's not disc selection. It's not strategy. It's fundamental mechanics. If you're throwing correctly, if you're planting your foot before you pull the disc, if you're pulling across where you have the most strength, if your wrist is straight or cocked but not bent backwards, if your head's following the disc, if your weight's kept above your hips, if you're not swiveling your wrist, like if you're doing the mechanical things correctly, you will throw shots that generally hit your line, that generally fly without wobble, that have snap, and don't put the nose up. If you accomplish those 4 things, the game becomes really fun because the disc basically flies where you're aiming and it flies at a distance where you can execute shots. But mechanics are everything. It seems some players in recent influx see it's okay to snap off limbs and bend over saplings, care to weigh in. Yeah, don't do that. The course exists. When you go out to a course, here's my advice for everybody. When you go out to a course, that course that is laid out, you are challenged by that thing as it is at that moment in time when you step up to the hole or you step up to your shot. You do not alter anything about that. You're allowed to move dead stuff, unattached dead stuff according to the rules. But yeah, no, leave stuff. Don't bend or break stuff. Like that's like, hey, it's no fun. You're taking away the challenge. Figure out how to solve the challenge without changing the terrain. That's what's fun. Have I heard of Goliath disc? It's a small startup in Northwest Iowa. I have heard of them. I'm not familiar with them though. But I have heard of Goliath disc. Hello, Benita, by the way. What's in my pockets right now? Oh God, do I really want to gross you out? I have a toothpick in my pocket because I have a hole in one of my teeth. That's what part of why I want to get it, because I keep getting food caught in this hole in my tooth. That's why I got to replace my teeth. Except that hole in the tooth, I can actually take my toothpick and touch the nerve in my tooth, and if I touch it in that hole, I will jump through I will like freak out and jump. So like if I leave the food in there, I don't like it because I feel the pressure of the food pressing on my teeth, but it also covers the exposed nerve. So I have to weigh I either have to have an annoying piece of food in my tooth, or I have to. God, my tooth is hurting just talking about it. Is that way more information than anybody wanted? Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I got to get new teeth. Can you imagine?
That's exactly the information that Randy wanted, though. When he asked.
Yeah. Here's the thing, too. Check this out. It's not even going to be fair. I mean, look at how handsome I am now. Can you imagine me without ugly teeth? Oh, my God. I mean, enjoy me while it lasts. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to get you to put it off as long as possible.
You've been trying to get me to put it off because once I have new teeth, you're pretty much done.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I know. Days numbered.
Your days are TikTok. Enjoy me for the next 2 weeks until I go to Bangkok and get my new teeth. And then
that's probably not the first time somebody's lost somebody to Bangkok, but probably
not for that reason. So here's the thing. So here's what I want you to understand though. Okay, yes, if I get new teeth, I'm going to be so handsome, I'll definitely be breaking up with you. But in all fairness, I will allow you to get back in line.
Oh.
So you don't have to like be gone forever. You're just going to have to.
Oh, you never should have told me that.
Yeah, you can get back in line.
You think anybody's going to stay in line in front of me if I get back in line?
Yeah. Just get in line. Anyways, that's literally how handsome I'm going to be with my new teeth. So
beating them off with a stick.
Oh my God, it's going to be insane. Well, here's the thing. I mean, okay, let me tell you something, guys. If you like, all you got to do, like, people are like talking about how to like, so hard to meet women, and guys are saying it's so hard to meet women in 2023. Just tell them you disc golf. As soon as they know you're a disc golfer, holy cow! It's like they'll just. You'll be like the Beatles coming to America the first time, like they see your disc golf shirt. Whoo! So now imagine if you have a disc golf shirt and pretty teeth. At least that's what I'm telling myself. When a pro switches sponsors in the offseason and they have to learn a whole new brand of discs, does that put them at a significant disadvantage during the first tournaments of the season? No. No. They will learn their new discs in 5 minutes. Like it is so, it's not hard to learn your discs. I mean, it's new discs. Discs don't fly that different between manufacturers. Like if you bought okay, well, let's say you're used to throwing like this one destroyer from Innova, and then you switched to dynamic and you started throwing the I can't remember what it's called, their version of a destroyer. No, from dynamic.
Force?
No, that's Discraft again.
Dynamic.
I can't. Okay, so forget.
Whatever, Ricky.
Let me start over. You're used to you throw Innova, for instance, right? You used to throw in the destroyer, right? Okay, well, you go get a disc, you switch manufacturers, and you throw their version of destroyer, and it's not identical to that destroyer you were throwing, right? It's not going to be perfectly identical. Well, guess what? If you had a destroyer, that next destroyer you get also wasn't identical to the one you just threw. So you had to learn that new disc as well. It flies slightly different. But if you threw one destroyer to the next within the same manufacturer, even though they're slightly different, you throw it a couple times, you can tell how they fly differently. It's no different switching to another company. They're all going to basically fly the same, and what little difference is, like, you'll learn in like 5 minutes. So it is a myth that it's difficult to learn new discs. It's not. It's every model of disc on different runs flies slightly different from other discs in that run, and then discs get beaten up and they hit trees and the flight plate warps and they get scuffed up. All discs fly differently. By the way, then you have a 3 mile an hour headwind versus a 2 mile an hour tailwind. Disc flies differently. Like, so it takes nothing to learn a new disc. I mean, I'm serious. It takes nothing. Raider, thank you. I was thinking about the Raiders. That's what I was thinking about.
I thought it was the getaway because that's what Mason was throwing, but that's probably.
Yeah, getaway. I don't know. Yeah, but they're all discs. Everyone's making good discs. The big companies, they make so many discs that they all have good discs. Innova's got great discs. Discraft has a great disc. Dynamic, Latitude, MVP has great discs. You know, all of them. Off topic, but how's COVID been on your travels? It hasn't been really an issue. You know, the basic rule of thumb, people out here are, you know, like on public transportation, everybody wears masks. No one complains. They put on masks because you're in a small confined place and you're being respectful of your neighbors. Like the big pitch out here, the way it's pitched out here, and I'm only speaking for a very small part of Southeast Asia, but it's basically promoted as like, look out for your fellow countrymen, right? Mm-hmm. Like the reason you're worried, okay, you're not worried about getting COVID. You're a young person. That's fine. That's your choice. But be respectful of the person next to you. Put on your mask when you're in a small confined space. But it is not, and it's required on the trains, but it's also, I don't hear anybody complaining. But when you get into outdoor areas, most people aren't wearing masks. So it really is, you know, it's a real thing. But
it was sort of like taking a step back in time, though, because when we were in the States, everything was pretty much like nobody cared anymore. And then when we got to Australia and New Zealand, it was like, okay, we have to start doing it some. And then in Asia, it's like, oh, yes, it's still required.
Yeah. So here's the thing about it. It's not politicized out here.
Right.
It's not a political issue. It's a health issue. And and the general consensus is that no one got it right because this is new. And so nobody handled it right. This country did something right, but they did this other part wrong. And so everybody's just kind of doing their best to just be reasonably safe. I think that's probably the right term. Older people are all wearing masks publicly because you're older, you're more vulnerable. And younger people aren't, but they'll put it on when they get on the subways because the old person might be next to them. Hope you're enjoying my travels. Now that you have a few months in, do you think it's changed your perspective on the world much? P.S. I love catching up with you guys in New Zealand. You know, it's yeah, I mean, certainly like things have changed because you hear one thing on television and then you see something different. But I wouldn't say it changed the perspective because we tried not to have a perspective. Like we kept an open mind to the fact that we are ignorant. This is new to us. Um, you know, I would say that I was about to say something really mean. I shouldn't say it. Should I be mean?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to be mean, and nobody. I shouldn't say this, but like my first thing I thought when I got off the plane in Australia, I'm like, holy cow, there's fat people here too.
Yeah, no, they do.
Like we have the perception that the only fat people in the world are Americans, and then you get over to Australia, they're just people. They're just people like us, right? They're just, they have a wide variety of shapes and sizes, and it's not just a U.S. thing. And by the way, get to New Zealand, it's a little different. Everybody's much more outdoorsy and healthier there. By the way, New Zealand is phasing out smoking. I think tobacco is going to be illegal by 2040. They have a process to increase the age limit. They're making cigarettes illegal. They're going to make cigarettes illegal, but they're not telling everybody they're illegal tomorrow. You have to quit and watch all the road rage kick in. They are increasing the age where you can legally buy cigarettes, so the people that smoke are basically grandfathered in, and then they're phasing cigarettes out of the country. It's a pretty amazing thing. I would say that I don't think anything surprised us because we didn't have expectations. I'll tell you one that I'm going to make a video about this. I'm going to go and I'm going to tell you something that was a bit surprising to me. And like I feel dumb that I was surprised by this, but I'm human like anybody else, and so as much as I know how BS the U.S. media is. The U.S. media is they suck.
Well, media everywhere.
Media, by the way, media everywhere sucks. Yeah, we're finding that out as well. We go to Malaysia, and it's like I asked the people in Malaysia a number of times. I said, "How do the different ethnic groups get along?" They said, "We get along fine." The media says we don't. So the media in Malaysia is telling people that there's all these conflicts, but then on the street, people are like, "We don't care what religion or race you are." So it's kind of like the same way the media in the U.S. tries to divide people, but then you go out in the street and people are like, I don't care who my next door neighbor voted for as long as they keep their lawn mowed, and like we're fine, right? We're good. But the thing that surprised me, this is what caught me off guard, is that we went to Indonesia, and Indonesia is about 90% Muslim, and it's the largest Muslim country on earth, I think by a lot. I think there's more Muslims in Indonesia than all of like the Middle East combined or something like that. In Malaysia, that's the dominant religion. The dominant group is Muslim in Malaysia. And we really, truly didn't know what to expect. Like, we knew that both sides of the extreme views on this topic are like the extreme views are never right. You have like in the US, there's groups of people that think that Muslim equals terrorism, right? Okay, well, that's obviously ignorant. We know that's not true. We know that it's a very small group of extremists, not the group as a whole. That's stupid. But there's also the other extremists, like in the US, that say that everything about it is perfect. And if you even question, well, I don't agree with this one little thing, you're Islamophobic. Well, no, I just don't agree with this one thing that maybe that group does. You're Islamophobic, right? So you're not allowed to even question whether you like something about it, right? These are the extremes. Okay, we know both of those extremes are idiots. The truth is always in the middle. It's gray, not black and white. Okay, so we knew this going in. The thing that surprised us was that in the U.S., most of the Muslims that we had met or just come across, whether they're working at a store or you see them on the train, are very reserved. They're very quiet. They tend to keep to themselves. And I just thought that was the culture. In my mind, I thought if you're Muslim, you basically were very quiet and reserved. You didn't laugh much. You didn't joke much. Turns out that was completely, would you say that's completely a false statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely false. When we got to Indonesia, you see people, it's 90% Muslim, and based on the clothing, you can't really tell the guys, but when you see their wives, you can tell that the family's Muslim. They are 100% as outgoing. They're as silly, as goofy. They laugh, they joke, they're friendly.
They camp.
They go camping. They like, I mean, I know it kind of sounds stupid, like, oh my God, they're just like us or something like that. Like, I'm not saying I didn't think that they were human, but I still thought that it was going to be this much more reserved culture, and it's not. It's like I saw two sisters like on the front of the on this boat, and they were like teenage sisters, and you know what they were doing? They were punching each other, and I'm like, of course they are. That's what teenage sisters do. They were laughing while punching each other, right? And but cracking jokes and being just outgoing and extroverted. I had never seen that, and so my thought is that I think my theory is that if you are a Muslim in America and maybe other Western countries, because you're in the minority, you maybe they feel more on the outside. And when you're on the outside, you're not trying to bring attention to yourself. You're trying to be more reserved and more quiet. Like you're just trying to be a little more invisible, because maybe you feel like an outsider. And I'm not saying anyone's to blame for this. I'm just saying that's probably a natural reaction. But when you get into their element, you go to a country where 90% of people are Muslim, and you're like, holy cow, they smile, they joke, they laugh every bit as much as people in New Zealand, in the US, and Europe. You're like, okay, that caught me off guard.
Yeah, I mean, that's not even an unrealistic assumption, because I've met people from Scandinavian countries that are very stoic, and like that's what their culture is. Like,
yeah. No, there are cultures. Yeah, like there are cultures. Like I said, some Scandinavian cultures that are more stoic. That is just more of a cultural thing. And so it was like, you know, I wasn't judging anybody by this, but I just assumed that that's the way it was. And it was not the case. It hasn't been the case at all. Everybody's been super sweet, super nice. And by the way, no one like everyone think no one cares that we're from America. I actually, okay, and forgive me for this. I'm going to sound like a complete asshole here, but I thought, well, if we go to a Muslim country, should we not tell people from America, because you know you hear that everybody like hates us. No one hates us. People maybe hate your government, but it's like I didn't encounter a single person that hasn't been nice to me so far, not one. And so there's no like anti-American hatred going on either that I kind of thought there would be. So anyways, yeah, so that's been surprising. I've been caught off guard, but it's been awesome. We've had it. It's been amazing. There, that's the long long answer. All right, the growth of the sport. There's so many hanging out there. Coaching shingle. How would you guide folks about how to find a new coach? Easy plug for your coaching. Okay, I'll go ahead and plug the coaching. My 6-month online Become a Complete Disc Golfer course at scottstokely.net. It's the best thing in the sport, in my not humble opinion. I have a method, not a different method of throwing, but a method of teaching that works. It's very effective. I'm very proud of it. But as far as finding a coach, you know, there's going to be other qualified people out there as well. Anybody who's better than you at something, you can learn from. So it doesn't mean that's the end coaching, but if someone's doing something, figure out what they're doing. It doesn't mean they're going to be great at it, but just because they're not great at coaching today doesn't mean they're not going to be. Doesn't mean they're not going to try. It does not mean the advice they give is going to be bad. You can get good information and good coaching from anyone that knows more than you, but then don't stop seeking out other information as well. Discgolflessons.com is a site we just launched where we're going to be getting coaches, disc golf teachers, to post about their teaching. And the thing about discgolflessons.com is it's not just people that teach my method. That website is not for Stokely method teachers. I created that website for all disc golf teachers. So there's one centralized location for teaching disc golf, because I want the culture of teaching to change within our sport, because without people teaching, people don't get better, right? I mean, it's important that our sport has that. So I'm not playing favorites. Every single person that wants to can advertise themselves that they give disc golf lessons on my website. And then, by the way, the free market will decide if you're good or not, because the people you coach will give reviews. And if you're getting good reviews, that means you're doing something right, and more people will hire you. If you're getting bad reviews, you probably won't get as much business. We'll let the market decide who's the best coach.
My screen froze.
What? Your screen froze?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You want to restart yours? Yeah. All right.
I can't switch to down, so.
Let me see here. Let's see. Oh, I just clicked on somebody. Let me scroll up. With the growth of sport, I mean, just well said. What do you miss? Dan Kilgore, let's start with. What do I miss from the States? I miss the people. I got so many friends there. Like, I love the U.S. I mean, when I talk about how much I love, like, all these other places, I do love these other places. That doesn't mean I love the U.S. less. You know, let's just say this. I'm not a monogamous person. Like, I can love the U.S., and me loving other countries does not make me automatically love other countries less. It's like when you have a child and you have more children, it doesn't mean you love your first child less. So I love the U.S. There's so many great things about the U.S., not just that I love, but historically, there's so many things about the U.S. that have been so good for planet Earth. You know, people want to say that U.S. is doing everything like wrong and all this like criticism of it. And it's not that it's not valid, the criticism, but a lot of times they forget a lot of really good things have come out of the fact that the U.S. existed globally, right? If you follow history and you actually are educated, you're going to realize that there's a lot of good things about the U.S. that the world benefited from. I love the U.S. But I'm just enjoying the new experiences as well.
Ice cream.
Hashtag non-monogamy.
Real ice cream. That's what you miss.
Oh, yeah. Real ice cream. Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, Asia. You don't do ice cream very well. I'm sorry.
They are predominantly lactose intolerant.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
There's a lot of lactose intolerance here. Yeah, I mean, the amount of desserts, cool desserts that we found in Asia, like the Asian, they're knocking it out of the park as far as desserts go, but they don't do ice cream.
Well,
right.
Nothing is as sweet here.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not as. No, but we've gone and gotten ice cream where they didn't think sugar was a necessary ingredient. And that's not an exaggeration. It's like, you ever eat like cooking chocolate? Like, it's not sweet. It doesn't taste good, right? It's chocolate flavored, but without sugar, it's not the chocolate that we, it's not a milkshake, candy bar, ice cream type of chocolate. It's chocolate flavor. I have had ice cream that was chocolate flavored, or coffee that was mocha, chocolate flavored coffee, where that's what it was. There's no sugar. It's just chocolate. That's not very well. I don't know if it's bad, but when you're expecting a chocolate milkshake and then you get sugar.
Oh gosh, talk about milkshakes.
Oh, the milkshakes. Yeah, they're made with water, ice, and Ovaltine. The chocolate milkshakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't.
It's basically chocolate milk.
It's chocolate milk without milk.
Without milk.
It's chocolate milk with ice water. But no, the desserts are great. So I would say the ice cream is about the only thing. I don't miss the food. I mean, I love the food here. I love the U.S. I love everywhere. People everywhere are great. Let's see. Huh? Sounds like I got a great girlfriend. So why are you going to Bangkok?
Who's Cecil Cooper?
Oh,
You
huh?
know who that is?
I'll explain it to you later. Huh? Ask me again.
Who's Cecil Cooper?
Huh? Okay, we'll explain that one. I'll explain it to her. I have a great girlfriend, so why am I going to Bangkok?
Same reason I'm going to Amsterdam.
The same reason we'll go to Amsterdam.
Because we're going everywhere.
We're going everywhere. Besides, it's 2023. We're not old fashioned. Are we old fashioned?
God, I hope not.
No, we're no.
Maybe we're the oldest fashion.
We're the oldest fashion? We're not fashion. Are you kidding me? This is the most fashionable. Every shirt I own, someone gave to me. Or I bought in a night market.
Caveman fashion.
No, yeah, no, we're having a blast. Oakland City Beach here on my radar, March 25th and 26th. I will be in March. I will be in Vietnam. I'll be in Vietnam in March. So I didn't even see Scott Riley. What up, Scott? Please say hi to Leonard for me. I love you, dude. Great to see you. Hear from you. I will be in. No, I'll be in Asia. I'm not coming back to the U.S. for at least a few years. You play disc golf and fuck it. Are you going there?
We can't.
What?
No, we're not. We tried. We didn't have time.
We didn't.
We can't back.
Oh yeah, that's the islands, right?
Yeah,
yeah. The islands, the fucking islands. What do they call it? They call it.
You got it right. Just go with it.
Okay. Yeah. By the way, okay. No. We wanted to go. We didn't. We ran out of time. We were gonna go to fuck it.
We did go to fuck Papa.
Yeah. So we were in New Zealand, and we went to a city, and the city, I forget how it's spelled. But
it's WHAAAPAPA
or something like that. Whatever, and I got all but I probably only got 3 letters wrong. But the actual pronunciation is Whakapapa. And if you go to their homepage or their Wikipedia page, it says on the Wikipedia page, it makes sure that you know that the correct pronunciation is Whakapapa. It's a great city name.
It's actually the what are they called? The natives there.
Oh, the Maori?
That's the Maori pronunciation.
Maori pronunciation. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, you know what we got to see from Whakapapa? Ready, nerds? Get excited, nerds. Hold your breath. Drum roll. We were right next to Mount Doom. Like the Mount Doom from the movie. I got a picture of me with Mount Doom in the background. So that was their base there was from Whakapapa. That's the best city name ever. In fact, I think every city should be called Whakapapa. I know it would make it confusing for the post office.
Not as confusing as Koh Samui. Like they don't have numbers on the buildings and stuff here.
Koh Samui?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been to a lot of places where I'm not kidding. We've been to places in the last couple of years where the address is maybe like a highway number, and then it's the address is the restaurant next to the Red Barn. Like that would be the address of the rest. Like they don't have numbers at some of these places. You just have to write a description on the stuff that you're sending there of where you're going. It's kind of endearing.
Yeah, like we're at an actual Western hotel right now because we need good internet this week for the classes and stuff. And the street address that's on the Google map just has a name for the street. So everybody knows it's that hotel.
Like the address we're actually at we're at like a hotel. The address of the hotel is the name of the hotel, comma, the street it's on. Because everyone knows, and by the way, it's a perfectly valid system. Everybody knows where the hotel is.
There's only that one.
Yep.
So I guess it's okay here.
It is okay here.
It's weird.
Yep.
Still weird.
God, look at these teeth. Can you imagine how I'm going to look with new teeth if I'm able to get them? I hope I can afford them.
That's it.
What?
That's it.
Do we have any more questions? Should we call it? Does anybody have any more questions? I would love to keep hanging out, but if not, I'll take a nap. Yeah. Let's see. You mentioned before, shoot any more questions out if anybody has anything. You mentioned before about coming to the Philippines. Has this been confirmed? I'm not going to make the Philippines this trip. We ran out of time. But we did possibly add one stop on our trip, which I'll tell you about in a second. But yeah, we had a couple weeks off. We're going to see the cherry blossoms in Japan. That's a big one. And in fact, that's actually what started us in Southeast Asia. We said, we're going to go see the cherry blossoms in April. And then everything is kind of built backwards up to that that's our main destination in Asia. And we had a 3 or 4 week break after a tournament in Cambodia and the cherry blossoms, I think. So we had to decide where to go. And we looked at the Philippines. We looked at Mongolia, actually, honestly. We looked at Laos, of course, and then we ended up choosing Vietnam. So we're going to spend our time in Vietnam just because there's not a lot of time. But check out what might happen. I just got invited to go to China by the Beijing Disc Golf Club. And China just dropped their zero COVID policy, which involved a whole ton of quarantines. It was virtually impossible to do anything over there. They dropped the zero COVID so that it's opened back up. But at the moment, you cannot, to the best of my knowledge, you can't get a tourist visa just to go to China. The only visas available are work visas or family visas. But this is my job, and I'll be teaching clinics and disc golf and some classes out there while I'm there. So they believe that they could get me a work visa. So if I can get a work visa when we leave Japan before the the Euro Tour, I'm going to stop in China. It's only going to be able to be for a week, which is nowhere near enough time to see a country that's as big as the U.S., obviously. But I wasn't sure I was ever going to get to go to China. Now it looks like we might be able to.
1 week in Beijing would be better than no China at all.
Yeah, 1 week in Beijing is certainly better than not getting to go at all. So I'm really hoping I get to go. I would love to go to China. Who knows what the future is going to look like, but if we can get there now, we're definitely going. Best course in Michigan to play. Oh my God. Okay. There are so many good courses in Michigan. I mean, the toboggan course, but it's a temporary course just for the tournament, I believe. So I don't think the toboggan course you can play normally, but Kensington Metro Park has a beautiful course. The thing about, by the way, Addison Oaks was a great course back in the day. There's a course at Hudson Mills, which they played the Great Lakes Open there for years. There is, oh my gosh, here, I got it for you. The 1-2 punch. It's got to be, where's the tournament I played, where they have the one course in the woods and the one course in the longer course in the open.
Oh yeah, that's CCR.
Where the CCR is, but where is that? Holt?
Yeah.
I think it's Holt. The CCR, they got two courses in Holt. I think it's in Holt, Michigan. They got one long open course, which without the OB mark, it won't quite be as good as the tournament course, but it's still going to be a good course. And then they got a beautiful course in the woods. And they're on the same parking lot, the two courses. And it's a great 1-2 punch. Bring lots of bug spray for the course in the woods. But Michigan actually has, they may have the best courses in the country because there's been such an adoption by the state parks to introduce disc golf into the state parks. And the state parks are not only beautiful, perfect pieces of land for disc golf, but then the state has put money into maintaining these courses. So Michigan knocks it out of the park. Michigan's fantastic.
Yeah, that was one of the things, you had told me, which I didn't know anything about disc golf before I met you.
Right.
That it was big in Michigan, and I grew up in Michigan, and I'm like, really? I never heard of it. That's weird. And then I went there with you, and I was like, wow, this is of all the things that Michigan does, and Michigan's a great state. They really do disc golf.
Yeah, Michigan crushes. Wow. They crush disc golf out there.
It was surprising.
It's kind of like the way it is everywhere, but the state park system is just this built-in system. Like every state park in Michigan that I've ever been to, if they didn't have a disc golf course, it's the first thing you're thinking when you drive into the park. You're like, oh my God, perfect trees, perfect landscape, terrain changes, hills, grass, lakes. It's just beauty. And they've just, disc golf's become a thing there.
Birchfield Park, that's what it's called.
Birchfield Park in Holt, Michigan. That's the course to play. Yeah. Course is. What's my greatest accomplishment outside of disc golf? Well, I think I did a pretty good job with my daughter. I think. No, I wasn't perfect. You're going to read my next book. I was great for a lot of years. And then I had a couple bad years at the end where I was a complete failure. And it's, by the way, I'm not being hard on myself. I was a complete failure as a parent for a period of time. Um, uh, but which is why I'm writing a book about it, because a lot of us, all of us, most of us fail at times, and you gotta come back from those. That's an easy answer. I would say, the greatest accomplishment. Oh, God, that's a really tough question. You know, I feel like I've made a lot of people's lives better for having known me, and I hope that doesn't sound too arrogant, but I've tried to pass along good information to partners' kids, um, you know, past previous partners, you know, their children. Um, God, disc golf's been the biggest part of my life, though. You know, when I was away from disc golf for 13 years, I was very successful building internet businesses. So I was good at it and I made a lot of money, but I don't know if it's something I'm proud of. Like, that's a great question. How about, I'm going to answer by saying I'm shallow, nothing. No.
How about just having written a book?
Well, I wrote the book, but that was about disc golf and the Blue Power events, all my special needs work, but that's still related to disc golf. So those aren't disc golf.
No, but I mean, your book is about your life also, which was a goal that you set as a young person.
Okay, yeah. So
it would have been about,
writing my autobiography was a big deal to me because when I was a young person, I said I'm going to live a life that is worth writing a book about someday. And I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I didn't want to have a life where, when I look back, I didn't have a good story to tell. And the cool thing about stories is they don't all have to be good. You know, like I've had the best life of anyone I know in this world. But what's made it the best life is that it hasn't all been positive. Like I've had some very bad periods in my life, very dark periods in my life. I've had, you know, I've had periods in the past with substance abuse. I've had periods with the legal troubles that typically come with someone with substance abuse problems. I've been a great father and I've been a failure as a father. I've been a great man. I've been a failure as a man. I've been healthy. I've been unhealthy. But that's what's led to a great life. Like I don't think that just having this perfect life would have been a great life. You know, it's like being a trust fund kid. You know, sorry, I'm not trying to offend any trust fund kids who follow me, but it's like a lot of trust fund kids. I look at them, I'm like, you're not that happy because everything in your life you're just skating through. That's not a great life. A great life is failing and then overcoming. It's doing things that are hard and then accomplishing them. And so I've had a life where I think I've done that. But again, it doesn't mean I haven't fallen on my face a lot. I have failed a lot. In fact, I failed more than anybody I've ever met.
I'm gonna read this one.
But your greatest accomplishment is buying your first coach a house on the beach. Let's see. By the way, I'm going to be doing an interview with Joe Orsino, my first disc golf coach. And by the way, he even has a coffee mug that says coach on it. I gave him to him. I'm like, I think like when I was like 12, I gave it to him for Christmas. It says coach. I don't know if he still has it. But yeah, Joe taught me the sidearm. Joe taught me the X step. Joe taught me the hook thumb, which we now call thumbers. Joe taught me how to roll. Joe taught me more about disc golf than any other player in my life because he introduced me to all these things. And I hope, Joe, that you take this the right way, because as the sport evolves, like you want your kids to grow up to be more successful than yourself. I mean, that's what you should always want out of your children or your proteges. You should always want more. All those things you taught me, I have taken the teaching that you taught me and I have improved upon it. I've taken it to another level, which you should want me to have done that. And the people that I'm teaching, I hope will take what I teach and improve upon that and build upon that. So but Joe built my foundation of teaching disc golf. I mean, my foundation of disc golf. My foundation of disc golf came from Joe. Joe made sure I threw turnarounds for distance, that I did an X step, Joe made sure that I was throwing sidearms at an early age when nobody was throwing sidearms. He's like, you got to have a sidearm. I was being taught this when I was 10, 12 years old. So yes, but as far as buying you a house on the beach, Joe, if I buy someone a house on the beach, there's certain duties that come with that I don't think you're qualified for.
Especially at his advanced age.
Especially your advanced age. You're older than me.
He's going to be 60 on Sunday.
Didn't know. You turned 60 on Sunday, almost bedtime for this old timer. Holy cow. I'll be 60 on a Sunday in about 7 years. It's amazing where it all went, right, Joe? It's amazing. Dan Kilgore, safe travels. I like following your travels. Get that tooth fixed before it gets worse, says the person with 9 teeth left. Yeah, it's not just one tooth. All my teeth are hurting. I got to get new teeth. I'm getting them. All right. Going to Japan. Will you play under 150 class? They have such a great disc golf culture. Got to play with Sam Ferens there. Yeah, Sam was my biggest rival. Sam was my first rival in disc golf, Sam Ferens. I wish people nowadays could understand just how good Sam was. Sam was ridiculously good. Everyone that played with him back there knew how good he was. He just took a path in life where he started pursuing his career, and he was working with Nobuya Kobayashi over in Japan, and he focused on that. Now he's focused on raising a beautiful family. Like, his focus was not being a top disc golfer, but when Sam was a top disc golfer, he won the world championships at 16 years old. He was Gannon Burr before Gannon Burr. He was basically like our Gannon Burr, except he was the best. Sam was the number one player in the world for a period of time in 1984. I love him. And Japan, yeah, I love everything about Japan.
They don't have the rule about the lightweight discs.
Yeah, the 150 class, I think, has changed. I believe. We'll find out.
That's what Sam said last time.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Joe says he does have the mug.
You still have the mug, Joe. That's beautiful. Good. Don't ever break it. I ain't buying you another one.
Or a house.
Or a house. Trust me, you don't want to know it comes. If I buy someone a house, it's.
I don't even have a house.
You don't even have a house. I know. Let's see. Have you watched the new video about disc golf with Simon Lizotte? What do you think? I have not watched it. I'll have to make a note of it. I didn't. Are you familiar with it?
No.
No, we'll have to go look it up. Mental note. Say hello to Dave. If you see Dave, leave me before you leave Koh Samui. Love the sport is inspirational. Love for the sport is inspirational. I love. Okay, Joe says no house. Trust me, you don't want that, Joe. I will if I remember. How much less stuff than I was traveling around the U.S. in vehicle? Okay, here's how much less stuff I'm traveling with. And this is not an exaggeration. People think we're exaggerating. Like, they think we're just like not telling them. Every single thing I own, not counting some merchandise and some tour shirts that are specific to the European tour, which are already in Denmark waiting for me. They're not even with me. Every single thing I own in this world, fits into one backpack. I don't have a storage unit. I don't have a box of pictures of my kid. I don't have anything other than like 6 shirts, 3 pairs of shorts, some underwear, some socks, my phone, a laptop, a bag of medicine, old man medicine, the shoes, and
some toiletries. Yeah,
some bathroom stuff. That's all I own in the world. And here's the coolest part. That's all I'm ever going to own. I'm never going to own anything because we are going to travel forever. I don't want to be tied to a place. I don't want to be tied to stuff. I don't want anything that's going to keep me from just getting on a plane tomorrow and just going somewhere. And by plane, I mean a train because I'm afraid to fly. No, I'm flying. I've been flying. I've been on like 6 planes this year. That's a lot for me. But yeah, no, we are full-time nomads. Like, and people are like, well, where are you? Like, well, what are you going to do when you're done traveling? It's like, I'm not going to be done traveling. It's like I'm not going to stop. I will not stop. I'm going to go until I fall over dead. You know, I might, as I get older, slow down. I certainly probably won't keep this pace forever. Here, I'm gonna right here. We got 59 people left. I'm gonna go deep. Some of you have heard this before, but I'm gonna go deep. Y'all want a deep lesson? I'm gonna tell you, because I figured out the key to happiness. This is the secret to happiness, and I feel like this is the only way that a person can truly be happy. I truly believe this, and this is after years of trying to find happiness and finding it, losing it, and being wrong. And this is what I believe. What you have to do to be happy. There is no right or wrong way to live your life. Okay? There's no one thing that you should do. Any book that says, here's what you need to do to be happy, like it's like a specific thing, BS. What you have to do first, you have to step back and throw away every preconceived idea you have about how you're supposed to live your life. You start off by dismissing all of them. Everything you've been told by your parents, by your church, by movies, by television, by books, by songs, by friends, by family, everything. Wipe it clean. And I mean everything about your career, your relationships, where you live, how you live, what you own, what hobbies you have, what you eat, how much you exercise, everything. You start from scratch. And then when you start from scratch, honestly assess yourself and ask yourself, what do you like? What do you want? How do you want it? And it may turn out that it lines up perfectly with what you've already been doing or what your parents told you. And then if that's the case, perfect. You don't not do something just because your parents told you. Could be they happen to have gotten it right, but it may turn out they've gotten it completely wrong. And that isn't what would make you happy. You know, I'll give you just like an example. Like, you know, everyone knows that the most important, you know, thing relationship wise is to be, you know, to find that special someone for the rest of your life. And it doesn't matter if it's male, female, straight, gay, like that's, most people these days don't think that's relevant. But whether you're straight or gay, most people are looking for that one person, that one special person. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the majority of people out there, if they really look inside themselves, will conclude that what they really want is that one person. However, it's not 100% of people. A measurable percentage of people, when they really look at it, are going to realize, you know what, I can love more than one person. I don't need to have just one person that I love. Maybe I need a lot of people I love equally, or maybe I have a primary person, but I'm capable of other love, right? Or maybe, how about this one? Maybe, you know, being in love feels good, but it's, to me personally, it's not worth the pain that comes, because when I feel in love, I feel jealousy, which is not connected to love. Well, then maybe that's not a thing I should be seeking out. What's important is there's not one answer. There's not one right answer. You have to figure out what works for you. Now, everybody is just about in this one single person monogamous relationship, but they shouldn't all be there. Figure out what works for you and be willing to go a different direction if you conclude that, you know what, that thing that I've been told is not for me. Well, the same rule applies to having kids, whether or not you have kids, or how you raise your kids, what type of job you have, how you live your life. Start from scratch. Figure out your path. And when you do that, do whatever you have to do to get onto your path. And this is what I figured out as far as like being a nomad. Like I when I really thought about it, I realized that I'm happy traveling. I'm happiest when I don't have stuff. And when I don't have stuff, I can just live my life, do the things I want to do, go where I want to go, and be free. I cannot be truly happy if I'm not. But that doesn't mean that I am better than the person who's happiest with a big house in the suburbs with a boat in the driveway. Because it's very possible that person, that's what makes them happy. And that's perfectly okay It just doesn't mean that's what makes me happy. And so I think the key in life is to figure out from scratch what makes you happy, ignoring all the voices in your head. And then when you create this thing that is how you want to live your life, get there. And I'll tell you right now, some of those things take time. Okay. For example, you may have a really good career because you have a mortgage, you have kids, which you're certainly responsible for. You have a commitment to a spouse that you entered into a contract with them. You have a financial commitment to be a person that you said you were going to be. And then maybe evaluate it and decide, well, I'm not happy doing this. I'd be happy doing this thing over here. But that doesn't mean that you can just quit your job tomorrow because this thing over here, because it only pays a third. Like, well, no, you have a responsibility to your kids, right? So you can't necessarily change like that. But what you can do when you realize that you want to be over here is make a plan. What would it take to be financially successful doing this? Going back to school, maybe starting a side business. Like there's paths that could take years to get there. But even just getting on the path to that thing you want to do will start to give you happiness because there's a light at the end of the tunnel, where maybe you're miserable because you're over here, there's no light. You want to be here, but you're doing this. So I'm not suggesting any of this is easy. I've worked so hard to try to get to this place, but this is what I've done. And this is what I figured out. I'm finally able to be happy because I'm living a life exactly how I want to live it for the first time in my life. And I'm happy, truly happy. I'm not gonna say I've never been happy or had happy times, but I've never been happier than this. So that's why I don't have stuff, and why I know I'm never going to have stuff, because it turns out that stuff doesn't make me happy. Being able to get on a train tomorrow and go see something I've never seen before is what makes me happy. So that's what I'm doing. Sorry if that came across lectury, but I'm old and I want everybody to be happy. This is what I've learned. You gotta figure out what makes you happy, and don't listen to anybody tell you what those things are supposed to be. Right? No one else knows what the hell they're talking about your happiness. Only you do. Okay. Sorry if I was on my soapbox there. Please forgive me, but I'm passionate about wanting people to be happy. All right, now let's talk about fun stuff. Have I been to any Western New York courses? I'm going to completely change gears and tell you a funny story, because if you hung in with me for that one, let's go ahead and I'll tell you a funny story. I played a tournament in 1993 in Lewiston or Louisville. I forget. Is it Lewiston? Lewiston, New York, but it might be Louisville. But here, I played a tournament in a suburb of Buffalo, kind of. And
that's Lewiston. Yeah.
Okay, Lewiston. Did you just look it up?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Lewiston, New York. This is a God's honest true story. If you haven't heard this story, you are not going to believe this story. This absolutely happened. 1993. So there used to be only a couple divisions back then. There was pro, and then, now forget the age. There was always age protected, but forget age. There was the pro division. There was amateur division, or maybe two amateur divisions, but then there was a novice division. Novice division was for people that are playing basically their first tournament. And I'm not exaggerating. Back then, you could have people that entered the novice division that had never heard of disc golf. They were walking through the park and joined the tournament, like a PDGA tournament, and played, right? And these are true beginners. And there was a player in the novice division who played a tournament, and he aced, I believe, the second hole he ever played. Not ever in his life. It wasn't his first time playing disc golf, but his first time playing a PDGA tournament, he aced his second hole of his very first ever tournament. And then he aced the fifth hole. So this person in their very first tournament ever aced 2 of their first 5 holes they ever played. And just to illustrate what a novice this person was, he didn't even win the novice division. He was a novice who aced 2 of his first 5 holes. Now, that's a funny story. I've been telling the story for years because that was amazing, right? 1993. So in 2015, I believe, I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan for the Amateur World Championships. I was caddying for Pat Govain, and we're at the Fly Mart. And a guy comes up to me. He goes, "You probably don't remember me, but I'm the guy in Lewiston, New York that aced 2 of his first 5 holes of his life." So not only is that player still playing, but 22 years later, he's still an amateur. So that's my story about Western New York. Way more lighthearted than that last one where I got all preachy. Did that come across preachy, or did it?
I don't know, but they're asking me follow-up questions.
Follow. How has
minimalism
changed my perspective on life? It hasn't changed anything because I already knew what I already knew that I didn't care about stuff. So I wouldn't say that it changed my perspective. It was recognizing my perspective on life that caused me to be a minimalist. You know, just not caring about stuff. And I want to say this again. I really want to be clear about this because people get all high and mighty thinking that they are superior to other people because of the way I live my life in a way that's, I don't care about that. What do you call it? You know, I don't care about materialistic things. I'm righteous and superior. And like, shut the hell up. That's so stupid. I hate that. There is nothing wrong with being materialistic. Okay. If you're materialistic, all it means is you like stuff. I like adventures. Neither one of those is superior to the other just because you like stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, if you decide, you know what would make me really happy? Having a big boat in my driveway. And you know what would make me even happier? Because 3 other people on my block have a boat. The thing that would make me happiest is if my boat was bigger than theirs. Like, there's people that would hear someone, if they knew someone thought that, they would look down on that person for that. That's stupid. Why would you look down on it for it? That person identified what made them happy. If what makes them happy is driving down the street and seeing the biggest boat on the block in their driveway and not their neighbors, that person should go out and get the biggest boat on their block. So there's nothing superior to the way I live. It's just different. It's just superior to me. So I have to be clear because I hate people that think that they're morally superior because it's like I'm a vegan, so I'm morally superior to you. No, you're not. You eat different foods than I do. You're not worse than me. You're not superior. You're just different. So I hate that shit. So, by the way, you see like a little jab at vegans there. But no. So, anyways, it hasn't changed my perspective on life. I realized that I didn't care about stuff. I just wanted to do things, and so that's what was the most important thing. The perspective changed first.
The idea of the perspective being you want the best thing that you can get for yourself. Like what's
yeah. Well, so yeah, because I've been vulnerable to this too. There was a time when I was away from the sport where I had a 4-bedroom house. I had a nice like 3,300 square foot house. Like, by the way, just me and my girlfriend and my daughter was there, 3 nights a week. And I had a 4-bedroom house. Why the hell would I have a 4-bedroom house? I didn't need a 4-bedroom house. But you know what I did? I furnished every room of the house. Explain that one. We had a downstairs bedroom, the guest bedroom. I never had guests. What did I put in the best bedroom? A bed, a dresser, paintings, mirrors, new carpet. Like, what the hell? Like why would I do that? But I did it because of a preconceived idea. I'm vulnerable. I'm human like anyone else. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to have a nice 3,300 square foot house. And I'm supposed to have, of course you decorate all the rooms of the house because it's your house. Of course it's important that you decorate your house. Meanwhile, I didn't care I didn't care, but I still did it anyways. That was the weirdest thing I've ever done in my life. By the way, and then when the house got foreclosed on, I tried to sell all that stuff. It wasn't worth any money. I didn't even get any money back for the furniture in there because it wasn't good furniture. Literally just threw the money away. Anyways.
Michelle Whitman wrote a big long paragraph. It's very, very sweet.
Yeah, who is it? Michelle?
Yeah. It's a big long one though, so you can read it after. Just say thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Should I read it afterwards?
Yeah, we'll read it after.
Okay, we'll read it afterwards.
But she's going to bed.
Okay, good night. Good night, Michelle. Oh, our Michelle?
I don't know. It's Michelle Litwin.
Oh, hello, Michelle. Yeah, well, so it's a long message written to me. So I will read that message. I promise you, I'll read it. Do discs fly further on the other side of the world? You know what? Every single day they don't fly as far as they did yesterday for me because I'm 53 years old. So I would say they fly less far than they did on the other side of the world because the other side of the world was in the past and I flew farther last week than I do now. So probably the opposite is true.
All right, that's about it.
All right, thank you, everyone. Yeah, everybody's. So if you're interested, my 6-month online class is at scottstokely.net. Become a complete disc golfer. I am so proud of it. I'll give you the quick summary. I don't teach a different method of throwing than anyone else out there who teaches disc golf. We all agree on the correct way to throw. So the Stokely disc golf method is not a method of throwing disc golf. We all basically agree on right technique and wrong technique. The Stokely method is a method of teaching disc golf that is different than anyone else is teaching because I don't teach the end result. The end result is transfer here, rotate here, lean here, elbow here. And if you've ever tried to emulate like a pro throwing in slow motion and it hasn't worked for you, it's not your fault. It doesn't work to do that, not in my experience. So my 6-month class is something I've developed after decades of doing this. It's a process where you do certain skills and you do certain things and then your body moves the way your body moves between those things and then you add another layer. It's a step-by-step process. It's live classes. It is you posting a unlimited number of form reviews for us to review. And I have four trainers now working and myself giving form reviews as you're doing these steps to make sure you're getting them right. It's really, I'm so proud of it, but it's at scottstokely.net. If you want to be better at disc golf, cannot recommend this any stronger. I'm really proud of it. And then if you want to buy cool discs, go to scottstokely.net for my Tour Series discs and my Universe discs.
All of that is what funds the travels.
Yeah, that's how I pay for all of this. Yeah. It's my business, right? I mean, I built my business so I could do it while traveling. So that's how I do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I love all of you. I mean that. I'm not just saying that because you're supposed to say it. I truly do. I love everybody that is on this journey with me. So thank y'all.